As the leader of the Booner Path, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff Booner, Lukas, and Gentry. It is Monday, November 4th, and we are back. Long day yesterday. Had a blast out in Grand Rapids at the Grand Rapids Bar and Grill. Shout out to Real American Beer. Had a blast.
Big time show.
Everyone who showed up, supported the fellas, hung out, or tuned in, supported the fellas. We appreciate you. It was a blast out there. We got to see a Lions win. All right, and we're going to break that down today and talk a lot of trade deadline because tomorrow is the trade deadline. We won't be able to talk about it. Well, we will, but it'll be past the trade deadline. So this is our last time to be able to kind of talk about what we expect, what do we think is going to happen. But fellas, how we feeling? Victory Monday, also an exciting time here. Hopefully we get a trade while we're live, preferably. That'd be great.
Hey, the Detroit Lions, baby, 7-1. I will say this. I've got the Kool-Aid today, boys. Hold on.
Oh, my gosh.
I'll say this real quick, fellas. The Booner Path has never been better, fellas. We're on our way. 7-1, the best team in football. Got the best start in Detroit Lions history since 1956. I said it on the post-game show last night. By the way, voice is gone. I don't know if you guys could tell. It's like on the sprint. Like, what's the word? Like, it's on the edge. Like, I might yell one time tonight, and I'm done for the night. I'm limited tonight. Hey, the Lions, baby, though. Let's go.
There it is.
Klotzy.
Hey, Boo, not only a victory Monday, but how about a victory Sunday for those Buckeye fans? I heard a lot of
I mean, what are we doing here? The Lions, I'm going to mute you.
A lot of chirping. But
the people are here to listen to the Lions. They're not here to talk about Ohio State. They're not here to talk about Ohio State. We're in Michigan.
We're asking how I'm feeling. I'm telling you how I'm feeling.
I'm telling you, I don't care about the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Great victory Sunday, watching the Buckeyes beat up on the Nittany Lions, but even a better victory Monday because, one, just the whole situation with Brian Branch, we'll get into it, but this high-powered Green Bay offense, Josh Jacobs going loose, and they couldn't do nothing. It just didn't matter. So I'm feeling great. Never a better feeling than beating the Packers in Lambeau outside of a Super Bowl victory.
Yeah, I mean, you got edge to the D hashtags. You got all this trending news that I'm trying to process. I mean, I put out two videos today. One about the Zadarius Smith stuff that happened while we were in Grand Rapids, and then of course the Aziz Ojulari being a betting favorite to come to Detroit. There's so much things that are happening right now, and you know, at this point, I just want it to happen. You know, and if it happens live, great. It's awesome to be victorious and talk about adding players. You have a good team, and we're talking about adding players. You know, sometimes you're looking at teams like the Buccaneers, for example, who play in about 10 minutes or so. They lost Mike Evans for a couple of weeks. They don't have Chris Godwin for the entire season, and they're holding on, and they need to add. The Lions are 7-1. They are
crazy.
They're the number one seed in the NFC. They're the best team, obviously, in their division. They're undefeated in their division. Best offense in the NFL, and also you're talking about adding talent, which is something that it's fun to do that. When you have a good team, it's fun to talk about adding talent. You know what,
dude? It's like you named all those things. The Lions have a top 5 offense. Let me one up you real quick. The Detroit Lions have a top 5 defense in the NFL right now, fellas. That's not a joke. They have the number 1 offense in the NFL, and they have a top 5 offense in the NFL. They're on their way to getting the 1 seed in the NFC. They're second in the NFL in Super Bowl odds. Jared Goff is third in the NFL MVP race right now. It is like to be a Detroit Lion. If you would have told me 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, when Dan and all these guys took over, and Sheila was like, "Hey, let's go Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes," 4 years ago, and you would have told me, "Hey, in the next 3 or 4 years, the Detroit Lions are going to be the best team in football. They're going to have a top 5 offense, a top 5 defense, and Jared Goff's going to be racing for an MVP, and you're on your way to win a Super Bowl," I would have maybe not laughed at you, but I'm okay, funny joke. Now you're messing with me. Quit, like what are you doing this to Lions fans? Like, it's crazy to think. And you know what, guys, like stuck out to me the most yesterday was even with the Brian Branch penalty, and I'm not one for conspiracy theories, but I'll be one tonight for conspiracy theories. I think it's very, very well known that the Detroit Lions have been turned around, or what's the like people have gone, the refs have just absolutely destroyed the Detroit Lions. And it feels like it's been very clear that the NFL has had a vendetta against the Detroit Lions when it comes to calls, keeping them out of games, trying to make games when the Lions are dominating. And when the Brian Branch thing happens, what was it, 7-3 or something like that? It felt like, I don't know where you guys are at with this. It felt like one of those moments to where they had that penalty. We have never seen a player get ejected in a game like that for that penalty. It is always a 15-yard penalty. But guess what? The refs go out there, they call the NFL, and they go, the NFL goes, you know what? Hey, get Brian Branch out of the game. Let's make this a football game. And guess what? Detroit Lions do, fella? Something they never did before in the past with refs. They say, hey, Klotzy. They say, I don't care, Klotzy. We're gonna go win this game and dominate this football game.
What?
Take someone away from us. Try and give us a call like that. Try and do something. And guess what they did? They went out there and beat them. Yeah, it was a 10-point victory. God, 10 points. It was not a 10-point win. That was a 20-point win. They dominated that game from start to finish. Besides that one touchdown drive for the Packers, they dominated them. So like they were able to finally overcome some sort of thing on the road with refs. We saw it last year in Dallas, and we got to see it yesterday, and they overcame it. That's when you know the curse of the Detroit Lions, the SOL, fully gone. We're fully gone. Nothing will stop this team now. Not even the refs.
Yeah, that Brian Branch thing was ridiculous. I mean, you and that's the thing I'm frustrated with. It's not that the hit occurred. Should have been a penalty, right? Like that should have been a penalty. But when you start kicking players out, like Jack Campbell said after the game, like, oh, I thought, this isn't college, but apparently it is now. You're setting a precedent, and we talked about that. Now going forward, kick everyone out if they have a hit like that. Oh yeah, wait, they didn't. Jordan Poyer, Keon Coleman.
There was multiple yesterday.
Kobe Bryant, Demarcus Robinson. There's two right off the top of my head that occurred on Sunday. No players were ejected. Brian Branch was ejected, and from a referee standpoint, that call came from New York. So whoever's in New York, the fact that Brian Branch was ejected in that type of game like that, and you mentioned this on the broadcast yesterday, Booner. They win that game like they did. Now they're like a 70% chance to win the division. They lose that game, they dropped to like a 40%. So you're talking about a game with a ton of, NFC North implications, and you do that shit. Like that's the stuff I'm frustrated with. It's not, it's not the hit. Oh, he should have got a penalty, like no doubt. But the ejection was ridiculous. It just was. I mean, you can't do it. Now, I just need more consistency. That's what I'm frustrated with. Lack of consistency with the referee. That's where I'm at with it. And it's hard. I don't want to pull the Detroit versus everybody, but it's odd when Detroit's the only one who got a kicked out player on Sunday for the same hit. So
didn't it make the Kirby Joseph pick six feel even better though?
Oh, it was
that was like, oh my! And we said it on stream. Like you lose one All-Pro safety in Brian Branch. Well, here comes another one with a pick six to tie Xavier McKinney, who had to watch it happen now. So Kirby and Xavier both have 6 picks. That was the play that was like, to your point, Booner, like the Lions, they overcome the ref. It was just great to see because I don't know how they keep making plays with the personnel they have up in the front seven, but they just keep finding a way. So hats off to Aaron Glenn too. That boy coached his ass off yesterday.
He did.
But again, you can't put Aaron Glenn out there. So he schemed up very well.
I don't know how he saw. I mean, the glasses were
unbelievable.
Dude, some windshield wipers on those things.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing this. He's doing all this with the water all over his glasses. So it's even more impressive. And you have Amon-Ra and Jared Goff, like setting. Their tandem is incredible, but they have this record I want to show you that is actually insane. And there's always a new record. Like I always wonder how they come up with these things because there's always something new every time the Lions play. They're setting records. Here's one thing that they did do. It says right here, Goff completed last 30 pass attempts when targeting Amon-Ra St. Brown. And there's a lot. Talk about the duos that are on that list, by the way, like Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes. Like these are like all-time connections. Goff and Amon-Ra, they're in sync. telepathy. I think is how you pronounce it. Telepathic essentially. They just are on the same page.
Two crazy words that is.
They're just in sync, and that's incredible. Amon-Ra, guys, I'm just saying, impact player of the week, making plays. That's what he does. In Lambeau, he just loves playing over there, and he just continuously cooks their secondary. And on top of that, he jaws at him. He did that all game. He was jawing at the crowd. The Green Bay sucks when he walked in. He's a legend.
Yeah, so even the hoodie before, like when I saw Amon-Ra pull up with the hoodie that he was in, it's just like, okay. Like Amon-Ra, when Amon-Ra starts talking a little bit, he always backs it up. And I think when you have Keyshawn Mixon on him, one-on-one, no chance. No, he didn't stand a chance. And when you have Goff and Amon-Ra connecting for 30 straight passes, a consistent connection like that between two players of that caliber, that's what carries a team in these situations into the playoffs, into the potential Super Bowl. And when you need to play in the Super Bowl, you have the guy to do it. So to your point, Jeff, like the Mahomes to Travis Kelce, the Brady to Wes Welkers and Edelmans, like those type of connections are what keep your season alive, because when you need to play, you know who to go to and you know exactly where he's going to be. It's not like you're like, okay, yeah, like you look at like Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. They're in sync a lot, but there's plays where it's just like they're just not clicking. You never see that with Amon-Ra and Jared Goff. So I think this is a connection that's going to lead them to the Super Bowl.
I honestly, too, like Jeff, to your point there, just like Amon-Ra showing up in the Green Bay sucks. Like those guys showing up and like having that edge to them. There are people around the league, you could tell that everyone's starting to see like the Detroit Lions are starting to get a little bit of a cockiness to them. And I think that's a good thing. Like there's this sense, and I don't know where you guys are at when it comes to this type of thing. When you see teams go through these phases, like the Chiefs, there's a point when you're going into like, and I'll say the word, and I know we haven't even won a Super Bowl yet. So it's not like, hey, we can go into this dynasty type thing. But when I look at trying to build something like that, it was the same thing with the Warriors, the Chiefs, like all of these teams. It's you have to start somewhere. And the Lions like haven't won forever. And it was like the very humble winning for a while. And like the last 2 years, since that 1-6 start, it's been very humble. We're getting there. And then there was never that year, like last year, you didn't go in being like, we're going to win the Super Bowl. We're going to win. No, it was like, we need to take these steps and get to that point. We need to get the NFC North. We need to win a playoff game. Now that they did that and they went to the NFC Championship game, going into this year, and like, yeah, they had the confidence and the cockiness. Like, we're going to go win a Super Bowl this year. Like you could tell Amon-Ra, we were at so many training camps. We could see it from him. We could see it from Goff and Dan and those guys. Then as you start winning football games, like after they lost to the Bucs, people started questioning it a little bit, and they struggled the first 3 games. Now that they're on the 6-game winning streak, guys, and like they're 7-1, and they're the best. They've not just only beat teams, they've beat teams like the Dallas Cowboys by 40 points, the Seahawks by a couple, like double digits. They have dominated football teams. You could start seeing the cockiness of like an Amon-Ra showing up at the Green Bay sucks. The touchdown dance that everyone is talking about now in the news. Like Brian Branch flipping the crowd off. Like this is kind of, to me, a turning point for the Detroit Lions. Not just only like, oh, it's just the old Detroit. No, they turned this thing around and they went to an NFC Championship game and they knew like, hey, this is tough. They're at the point now where they know how to win football games. They are that good. And now you need to be able to turn into the Chiefs, and you need to be able to turn into the 49ers and what George Kittle does when George Kittle wears the Dallas sucks or F Dallas shirt, and what Deebo Samuel is out there talking. And those guys are out there when LeBron was winning championships and talking. No offense, Jeff, he hasn't won one in a bit, but when he was winning one, when Kobe Bryant would say stuff, when Kobe Bryant would have that cockiness and confidence to him, when all the winners and champions start to turn into that phase of their career where they become champions and they start getting that mentality to where we're the best in the world and no one's stopping us. That is what I started to see out of the Detroit Lions on Sunday versus the Green Bay Packers. Like when I see Amon-Ra show up like that, that's confidence. That's cockiness. As much as people in the outside world and Packers and all of them hate that, guys, that is what it is like to have that mentality. Like Steph has that now. Like Klay Thompson has that. These just winners have that mentality. And like, yeah, there's a point where you need to be a little humble, but you still have to go into these things and you have to talk and you have to let people know who's the best. Like Jordan had that. Everyone has that. And you're starting to see the Detroit Lions flip to that. And I think that's the progression of becoming just a really, really great football team to being the elite and actually winning a Super Bowl, is seeing you're the confidence of that to where you can go into any game in the playoffs and you're like, even if you're playing bad, we're still going to we're going to go out there and dominate you no matter what and win this football game. Like, I don't know if you guys get that same feeling. That was kind of the vibe that I took off last night in Green Bay. Like the rain, like nothing was stopping this team. Everyone's talking about the rain. No one is getting in their way. No one.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's the confidence, not cockiness. I know people, probably Green Bay Packers, see the Amon-Ra St. Brown hoodie and think, oh, this guy must be a douchebag. No, like that's actually the complete opposite of what he is. Confidence is what this team has, right? And it starts with Dan Campbell. Dan's like humble to the media. I'm sure he's talking to these guys, and he even says it. We'll play anyone, anywhere. We'll play in a landfill. All right, that's what this man said before. So they will play anyone, anywhere. That's the confidence that they have, which is great. Like, that's what you want to have, because when you play in these big games, even though fans might be more nervous about certain opponents, those guys don't fear anyone, and as they shouldn't. Now, you mentioned some names in there. Obviously, and this isn't at you, but this is the reality of it. A lot of the guys you mentioned won championships or championship. It doesn't matter. That's the next step for this team. Is having that mentality is a great thing. Capitalizing on it is a whole nother thing. So they have to continue this, because I always hear this throughout national media, and I'm not completely agreeing with it, because I had actually a friend of mine call me today and was like, "Hey, those Lions are getting hot early. Are you worried? Getting hot pretty early." The thing is, and I know Aaron Rodgers said this on Pat McAfee, oh, you have to be hot late in the season. No. Yeah, yes, but that's not always the case. It's not every Super Bowl winner is mid throughout the season and peaks before playoff time. You have to be a team that, you're going to play well throughout the season, but the Lions have to continue this all the way till the end. Now, come playoff time, you got to be playing your best ball. That is 100% true. But who knows, the Lions right now, like you mentioned, we were talking about how well they played in the second half. They didn't play that well on offense. So there's still things they need to iron out, which, again, every week it's like that. So for this Lions team, they are a damn good team, but they are only getting better every single week. They're going to get J-Mo back this week. You know how many players they were out? I mean, no one really talks about that, guys. In the game on Sunday, and I'll go through it because I actually have the all the players that were out. I wanted to show this because it was kind of surprising. And let me make sure I can get this up. Okay, and shout out to Costa, I believe. That's the Twitter name. I found it. But they went through all the players that are out currently for the Lions and kind of what they were able to do and overcome that. And look at this. Brian Branch was out. Obviously, he was ejected. Jameson was suspended. No Aiden Hutchinson. Spelled Aiden wrong, but it's all good. No Marcus Davenport. No Derek Barnes. No Malcolm Rodriguez. No John Kaminsky. No Josh Pascal. No Kyle Pecco. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and no J-Mo, no Brian Branch. And they still went into Lambeau.
Crazy.
Which, by the way, those Packers, they're used to playing in the rain. Outdoor. We embrace it. The Lions traveled. I was told by national media, this is a dome team. Mike Florio, whenever Goff whips out the glove, the 2 gloves, this could we see Chicago all over again? And then they go in there, no turnovers, run the ball all over them. And actually, ironically enough, the Packers had more rushing yards, but they executed significantly better. Jared Goff, the completion streak thing. I mean, he's efficient. Amon-Ra making plays, the running the ball. This offensive line's elite. They beat the Packers at their own game, and they executed better on the road. If you would have looked at that, if someone just tuned into football and they didn't even know what a home field, like they're just tuning in, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, the Lions, it's their home field, right? Like these motherfuckers are like cooking dinner, making their bed, kicking their feet up on the coffee table." Chilling, turning on the Fire Stick. Like, they're getting comfortable at Lambeau Field.
Turning on the Fire Stick.
I mean, that's what's going on. Netflix and chilling. And then you got the Packers that look like they're on the fucking road in Lambeau. They played like garbage, and the Lions executed significantly better. To me, that's a team that could go all the way right there. That's how they look.
I feel like the whole time, every time they panned to Jordan Love, dude just looked lost. He looked confused. He looked dazed. He looked like he had no clue what was going on. The Detroit Lions had that man rattled. And I think to what you were saying, Jeff, as far as like what Aaron Rodgers said on McAfee, and they need to peak towards the end of the season. I think that's true if you really haven't been tested throughout the season. But you look at the team that the Lions have played just off the get-go, like the LA Rams, they went on a little bit of a losing streak there because of injuries, but the Detroit Lions played them pretty much completely healthy with their playmakers. I know Puka got hurt But Puka still like 80 yards, 70 yards in that first quarter. Like Puka was cooking. Cooper Kupp was doing his thing. Look at full Tampa Bay. You look at Seattle. I know their defense was perfect, but offensively, that's what the concern is with the Detroit Lions is their defense. And the offenses that they've been going up against have not been slouches. Like the Detroit Lions have had a tough schedule so far. So they'll drop another game. Okay, this team will drop another game. I don't know when. I don't think it's be anytime soon. But then it's like, okay, they're going to drop another game. They're going to reset. And they might not. The way they look right now, the fact that they might add another edge rusher, it's hard to find that next loss on the schedule. But I think there will be one. That's when they'll kind of snap it back to form right now. But this is without a doubt the best team in football. And to your point, Jeff, they're only going to get better. They're only going to get those players back. And hopefully, it looks like it's a big chance that it happens. But hopefully Brad Holmes makes a move as well on that defensive line to make them even better on paper.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. If we're doing our takeaways for the game, I think the number one takeaway for me with this football game, I don't think there's much. And this is just and you don't see a lot of teams like this, maybe like just the Kansas City Chiefs. There aren't a lot of football. Like there's not anything really I can see that faces this Detroit Lions team and Dan Campbell. Like they're in the past, maybe you could say like the first year or two that Dan was because you didn't have the players and the people to be able to do it. I just don't think though that like there is anything that like guys going into this game, everyone's talking about the rain with Jared Goff in the Lions offense and this and that. Didn't phase them like at all. And it was because like you have now, maybe it's not like phasing mentally, but also they have like weapon wise, Jahmyr Gibbs and Demon on the ground when it comes to a rain game. The defense, they'll find a way to step up. And then, all right, there's no rain that day. Okay, we'll pass the ball to Amon-Ra, J-Mo, and Sam, and like those guys. And we'll get other guys involved. So I don't think like there's anything in this, like, in honestly, and you guys can tell me if you think I'm wrong. I don't think there's something in this and the NFL that will sit here and genuinely phase Dan Campbell ever in this Detroit Lions team. Like nothing. Brian Branch gets ejected. Okay, we'll find a way to still win the football game. Aiden Hutchinson goes down with a season-ending injury. Okay, we're going to find a way to move the defense around and finish games and still be a top 5 defense in the NFL. Like there's literally nothing that can approach this day. Maybe I'm not even going to say it, but maybe there's one or two things. But in game wise, like when you go up against the Texans, there's not the pass rush isn't going to phase them. You have the best offensive line in the NFL. Like what team is going to have outside of maybe just Patrick Mahomes, and he's not even playing great this year? Is there anything that will be able to face the Detroit Lions? No. And I think yesterday that showed us that. Like with all the questions going in there, all of the people, there was a lot of people around the city who were picking the Packers to win just because it was like, this is one of those games that the Lions usually will drop and you have to go win the other one at home versus them. And they just did not let that happen. And it wasn't like it was just one of those wins where it was, hey, we just pulled this off. We're good. It was a good back and forth game. They dominated. Whether the offense played bad a little bit in the second half or not, they got a little conservative. They dominated the football game from start to finish. They gave up one touchdown all football, the whole game. One touchdown to Jordan Love in that offense. The offense that we thought was going to be able to compete with the Lions offense at times through the game. Like with Jordan Love. Like one touchdown. That was all they gave up. So is there anything, like I'm asking you guys, like is there anything, like I don't think there's anything that will ever, like they could face this Detroit Lions team going forward. I really don't. I think Dan has a grasp on a lot of, he's become such a good coach.
So I want to say this, defense, the defense did their job. Third down, the Packers were not good. Third down, the Packers were, I just want to make sure I get this correct, 3 of 12. Lions were 4 of 12, but the Packers were 3 of 12. It looked a lot different. It just did. Jordan Love, they had like 7 drops. They had what was it? The pick 6, obviously, by Kirby Joseph. So in the couple fumbled snaps, I mean, Jordan Love had like 4 of those.
Yeah.
So all those, the defense did play well, but the Packers, like they just played like garbage, and that's on them. Like you're 2 best teams in the NFC, and you look like that. Yeah, Lions deserve to win, and they're the better team. But the defense, they didn't get a sack, but you could tell they all the Packers did on offense, like to block. And you guys, we pointed this out during the watch party. They looked right at the defensive line for the Lions, and they said, you know what? We're going to double team Ali McNeil. We're going to make everyone else try and beat us. And, James Houston at a couple times was close. El Muhammad, close. No one could get a sack. Like,
James
get
Houston
Jordan
got close
down.
a couple of times.
He did. Aleem was really good. Like I will say Aleem played very well. The run game, and guys, we brought this up before. I mean, the chunk plays in the run game in the first half, a little ridiculous. I mean, and for the people that said, "Oh, you guys are being ridiculous for even being concerned about the run defense," not really. I mean, you saw that on display. But you know what they did? They bend, don't break. They did that again. They forced the Packers into some tough positions here. They had some. They couldn't execute some of these plays. I think the Lions they did a good job. Aaron Glenn did a hell of a job on Sunday. But it's going to be very interesting. Like, man, you watch that game and you take my takeaway, like on top of all the good, just me personally, it's like, man, I would wish to have just one more dude on here. You know what I mean? Like if we had Zadarius Smith on that edge alongside this defensive line and Lee McNeil's getting double teamed, if you need a play in the third quarter, fourth quarter, he's someone that can do that. So I'm excited, boys. This is a great football team, very good football team. And you got Houston this week, so it'll be interesting there. But yeah, hell of a game. And honestly, I got to say this. If Dave Montgomery didn't score, he might score two of them things next week.
Yeah. I just want to say another takeaway. Like, if the pass rush wasn't good and the rush defense is struggling, like it looked a little at times, like AG, and I know we have a defensive segment later. I just want, like, my biggest takeaway of this football game was AG and what he's done, because that's been my emphasis the last couple of weeks since Hutch went down. And I've gotten in battles with people in the chat or online, like about like, hey, like he's found a way. Like last year after the Ravens game, he found a way to make adjustments once he knew, like, hey, we don't have a pass rush. Like we don't. Even if we have Hutch last year, there's nothing. There's nothing else. And it's like, all right, this year there's no Hutch. Okay, how do we do it? And like AG is that good. And there was times in my career, early last season where I criticized AG, but it was because of the scheme. It was like, we don't have a pass rush. Like you have to get something out of this defense. And he did it last year and he did it last night. He's done it all season long. Guys, like they're fifth in the NFL in points per game allowed. That is unheard of with the team without a pass rush like the Lions. Like that is insane. And if you can't be like, well, they haven't played any. You're in the NFL. If you're top five, it's nuts. And like what he did last night to hold the Green Bay Packers, that defense, to hold them essentially like, I don't even know if you guys want to count that last time. We can count the touchdown because it was a touchdown, but then Amik Robinson flag, and they get a touchdown with 3 minutes left of the game. It was kind of a garbage touchdown. Yeah. They only gave up 3 field goals outside of that. That was it. That's it.
Zone defense, man, continues to be very good.
So good. And then it's like also the pick six, like you're up 7-3, and then you're going into halftime thinking, let's just get a stop. You were about to get a touchdown, don't get a touchdown. Or you settle for a field goal and you're up 10-3. And then all of a sudden, guess what? Defense makes a play. Guess what it is, Jeff? Klotz, what do I say? Turnovers win football games in the NFL. You get a pick six by Kirby Joseph, and you go up 17-3 going into the half. And you're just like, it's your defense that, like, your offense was rolling, but your defense just put you in that position and just took another step there. And it's like, if the defense is playing like that, even without a pass rush, imagine tonight or tomorrow if you add Zadarius Smith, or somehow you make the phone call and Max Crosby gets here, or you make the phone call and you get someone who is very unexpected and you bring just another piece or two here. The defense, guys, you're already top 5 without it. Like you're second in the NFL in Super Bowl odds without even bringing in an edge rusher yet. This team, like the ceiling is crazy. I just saw like my second takeaway of yesterday was defensively. Like I just didn't think, like I feel like it's taken a while for people to grasp how good this defense can actually be because of the players that you have in the secondary and the linebacking core. It's good. It's fun to watch, to be honest.
Linebacking core didn't miss. I thought Jack Campbell fell. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say, but I thought so far his best game of the season so far. Did not do that much in pass coverage, but he was so good against the run as far as making open field tackles, making sure that they didn't get to the edge. Josh Jacobs did have a couple big runs, but it was not because of Jack Campbell. Like Jack Campbell snuffed out a bunch of runs, especially behind the backfield early, so that Josh Jacobs can't fucking talk right now, fellas. Didn't keep carrying that momentum forward. And you saw in the second half, he got banged up. They had to bring in Emmanuel Wilson and Brooks, and they really couldn't get anything going. Like you said, when they scored the touchdown at the end, but that run game in the second half was a completely different story.
A shout out MC23, man. This is huge. This has never taken an orange JMO shot again. Not sure how I got it, but appreciate it. Hell of a time last night. Guy and JMO Uni.
Oh, the orange
Shout
JMO
out.
shot. Oh, the shot. When I read that at first, I thought it was Jameson Williams, and I was like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
to
that
be
was.
honest.
Hey, we had a blast. We're gonna be doing more stuff. I mean, next location.
I mean, we're gonna have a graphic.
Yeah, let's wait till the graphics made. We
tomorrow.
Yep.
I say a big announcement tomorrow. I would say
absolutely. But MC23, the fucking goat. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Can I say this though? If you're in Detroit, Sunday Night Football is an away game. I will say this. Everyone, we have a location in Detroit, downtown. Nobody. It's Monday night. Not one person. If you want to watch the game with the fellas, do not make plans because we have a location.
Wait, it's Monday?
Or no, I'm saying tonight's Monday. I'm saying tonight's Monday. You have all week long. Do not make a plan to watch the game somewhere else. We have a location for you to be at on Sunday night versus the Texans. It's not a home game. If you're usually going to Ford Field or doing that for a home game, you're still going downtown and you're spending the day with us or the Sunday Night Football with us and the fellas at the location announced tomorrow. Pumped up, boys.
Yeah, I thought yesterday, as far as a live show goes, best one that we've done yet, short of the draft party, because the draft party was just electric. That was a great time. First live show that we've done remotely. But yesterday, great spot. I cannot wait to go downtown.
Yeah, I can't either. I cannot either. Look at Boone. He's looking at the breaking news. He's trying to see.
I looked, and we can't put breaking news in the chat. Darnell D. Rose. We can't.
Boone, it's like a fish. It's like a fish on a hook. Boone
sees it.
Dude. Yeah,
and to be honest, I'm talking about trying to be an insider. I have reached out to people today. I've messaged people on Twitter. I have done my due diligence. There's something's going to happen. It's just like I've heard there's negotiations going on, and I'm sitting over here like, and someone tweeted at me, "What's your confidence?" I know we're talking about it at 9. I'll stop because I have confidence levels. I have things to talk about with it. I'll tease the people.
Tuesday during game week. Tuesdays are usually when the moves are cut off by.
Well, the trade deadline's 5:00 tomorrow, Klotzy.
Yep. So tomorrow will be our trade deadline recap show. So be there. We're gonna break this down at 9. So trade deadline stuff at 9:00. But Lions are in the front seat, driver's seat, actually. Number 1 seed in the NFC. Number 1 seed. And honestly, guys, we talked about it last year. Didn't happen, of course. San Francisco 49ers got it, and they got a bye. I think the bye week would significantly help this team because lingering injuries and everyone getting healthier. But you know why it would help these guys? Is because you get a bye week for Ben Johnson to game plan. Like you get a whole week of Ben, AG, Dan Campbell game planning for whoever's coming. Hell, they might watch every team they could potentially face. They might look at the other matchup and be like, all right, let's check it out. Let's see who we could get potentially. And it's going to be awesome. They get the number 1 seed. It's significant. You get home field throughout the playoffs, which Ford Field's already tough enough to play in. They are comfortable playing at Ford Field, even though they can play on the road, but they're comfortable playing at Ford Field. This is huge, fellas. And the number 1 seed. And I don't see a team. I mean, the Packers are really the closest. But at this point, I just don't know. And you're going to get Christian McCaffrey back. But I don't see how they lose the number 1 seed. Like, it's locked up, at this point.
We talked about the NFC North. I mean, it's a 70% chance to win the NFC North. And the NFC North, without a doubt at this point, is the best division in football. And even more so in the NFC. If you just look at the San Francisco 49ers, they might not even win their own division. I don't think the winner of the NFC West is going to win the number 1 seed because the Lions, just record-wise, that's a lot of catching up to do. And even if they pull off a miracle and it's the repeat of the same situation, like they don't got Brandon Ayuk. And we all remember the play that kind of broke the camel's back last year against the 49ers, Brandon Ayuk. Like the Lions, without a doubt, best teams in the NFC. Like the Eagles look fine. They look good. They'll fall back on their face again. They're completely different built-wise, culturally, just how they're built, play structure-wise, completely different than the Lions. So the Lions are just the class of the NFC and the class of the NFL right now. I do not care. Like, they're better than the Chiefs, even with the
I'll say this. The Lions, they are the best team in the NFL, Klotz. I agree with you. I do think, like, I don't know where there's a loss in the Lions schedule. I don't think there will be. There might be another loss here or there, like a random game, 1 or 2. Yeah. I think, guys, like, as I go through it, like, I think the Lions end up – I don't know if I want to say it. The Booner path, 15. 15 wins. The Booner path goes through 15 wins. And I think it happens. And I think like 15-2. Like, have you guys ever thought you would see the Detroit Lions with a 15-2 record? That is what the Booner path is projecting. Like, I believe that truly can happen, that there might be one slip up of a win and it might just be a weird week. They can win in any way. Now, the battle for the 2nd seed or the 2 seed. There are teams that are sitting there with 2 losses right now. The Washington Commanders, the Vikings, the Eagles. Now, the Commanders and the Eagles, guys, they play each other. I think those are 2 really good teams. Like, I think the Eagles are going to be fine, and they're going to go win 11, 12 games, and I think the Commanders are going to probably win 11. Like, that division is going to be those 2 teams, and they're going to both, like, who no one wants to play. Whatever team ends up as the second in their division, no one's going to want to play them. No one will. Like, one of those top 4 teams do not want to play one of those teams. And that's just what it is. But, like, I think the Lions, like, you control your own destiny going forward. If you drop one more game, I think you still control your own destiny. Because, like, all right, Vikings have 2 losses. Even if they win out and you lose one, guess what? You have the tiebreaker over them. And it's just like the Commanders and Eagles, one of them have to lose because they play each other twice. So, like, the Lions, you control your own destiny. You go 15-2. Number 1 seed, you have the confidence going into the playoffs. You all you have to do, guys, is win 2 football games and you're in the Super Bowl. And guess what? What does the Booner path say? You don't lose football games in the playoffs at Ford Field. It does not happen. That was the whole start of the Booner path last year, was get in and win the NFC North and get as many home games as you can. You have to hope for teams to lose and all that. When you're the 1 seed, you don't have to hope for any of that. No matter what, you're at home all playoffs until it comes to the Super Bowl, and then it's a neutral site.
Right.
So 15-2, even if you're 14-3, 14-3 will get you the 1 seed. Again, I just don't see 2 more losses on this schedule. I do not. You play the Vikings, that's another win at home. The Packers at home, that's a win. The Bears twice. The Bears are in turmoil. They might not have a head coach by the time we even get to play them. So the Bears, that's 2. The 49ers, you go on the road there, that might be the one to where you're sitting there and you're like, are they going to be fully healthy when you play? Guys, the Booner path, 15-2, 2 home games, and you're sitting in a Super Bowl with the chance to go win a Super Bowl. Or you're going to New Orleans with the chance to win a Super Bowl. That sounded weird.
Book your flight. I mean, I got 14, and just because of the 2 losses, I as much as I would love them to win out, the loss I have is or at least 2 losses. I think they drop a divisional game somewhere. So just add that in. Maybe it's
okay.
It just happens. I don't think they'll go undefeated in the NFC North. In the other one, I think a sneaky one, the one where I'm like, this could be sneaky. Bills at Ford Field. I think the Bills are going to be like a way tougher opponent than I thought before the season. Like, I think it's Josh Allen. Like, he can just make things happen. And if you can't get to him, that's a bigger problem. So I think that's going to be a tough. But it's not. I'm not too far off from you. But I'm 14-3, 15-2. Who gives a shit? They're going to be the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Yeah,
or number 1 seed in the NFC.
It's a toss-up. I agree with you. They probably dropped 1 within the division. Couldn't tell you who. Couldn't tell you where. Couldn't tell you when.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Best division in football. And then even like against the Bills, I still like their chances. I get what you're saying. Like, it's Josh Allen, but even then, like, I still think this Lions team is going to just light up that defense. So I have confidence against the Bills. Again, understand why, but I only see maybe 2 losses here. I would say
that's I think max.
Maybe. Yeah.
I'm interested to see, like, parlay wise. Like, I know you can bet on when. I guess you have to wait on fan, or you're gonna have to wait until to see.
Well, they'll be favorited in pretty much every game. I mean,
that's. If you guys had the thought process, the thought process. Like, when we pick our winners for the games, it's like, all right, I'm going to go probably every single game saying the Detroit Lions are going to win, because I genuinely think that they're going to be favored and they're going to win every game. And then there's like it was like, well, they have to be realistic and you have to be able to pick a loser at some point. They're going to lose at some point. This is like one of those years. It's like when the Patriots went undefeated. Do you think Patriots fans were, when they did their score predictions on the radio, that they were like, I think the Patriots are going to drop this one? Like, no. They went on every Sunday morning and did their score predictions, and they were like, Patriots 35, the Detroit Lions 12. Like every time. Like, they always were picking the Patriots, I'm sure, because it's like they're that good. Like, the Lions are now in that position to where it's like every game you go into, there's an expectation of winning it. Like, they legit are going to be favored in every game. There's an expectation you need to win every game going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, if it was up to us, they'd be undefeated because we've picked to win every game. But it's probably how it works. I'm a little different. I don't give people. I don't care if I'm listening to some content here locally and someone says, "Oh, I think the Packers are going to win." I don't care. Like, I really don't. I know Easy got a bunch of crap for that. It's not that big a deal. Like, he thinks the Packers are going to win. Cool. Like, I mean, I like the guys, the Packers content creators came on our show and said that the Lions are going to win. Like, should their fans be grilling them? Like, no, they just don't think they'll win the game. You know what I mean? But the Lions are in a different situation. I understand that. But I am with you. They will be favored in every game. Will there be a game that I pick against the Lions? I don't know. You got to wait and see. All right. But for the most part, pretty confident. You know, I mean, I'm looking at the schedule. Houston, a little banged up. They might get Nico Collins back. Jacksonville, Indianapolis, Chicago, Green Bay again at home. Tough. That'll be a tough game. Buffalo, tough game. Chicago, at Chicago. We'll see what the conditions are like, but the way Caleb's playing right now, it doesn't look like a tough game. At San Francisco, tough game. And then Minnesota at home is a tough. I mean, it'll be a tough game. Minnesota's pretty good. But they'll be favored in every one of these games. So they're in a good spot here. They are. Yeah, I mean, I see people in the chat too. I mean, that crazy white boy 620 says, I'm feeling 16-1, not impossible to happen either. No, it's on paper, they're better than every team they're facing. I mean, that's what happens with the best team in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, schedule looks a little different. Remember, Lions had like one of the toughest schedules. Now we're like, win out. You know, it's
crazy the one loss that the Lions have too, and it's mind blowing every time.
I was with Aiden too.
And what were they? 0-8 in the red zone, or 0-6, or 0-7 in the red zone? Just like an insane, and you lose by one possession, that's what's crazy. Like this team legit. They probably should be 8-0. I know that's the one loss, but they should be 8-0 if you score one time out of those 7 or 8 red zone possessions. That's what's so crazy.
When you got Baker juking you out, it's a whole nother thing. I mean, he's making some plays there with his legs. I mean,
he did run very well.
Yeah. And Tyler says the Bucs have one of the best coverage linebackers of all time. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Yeah. That is fair. For people that are tuning in, I see people tuning out. I know people probably want to listen just to trade stuff. We'll get to that in about 10 or so, 15 minutes, because we do want to spend time. Obviously, it's our last time before we get to talk about it. So stick around with us. We'll get to the trade stuff. We'll get to all the rumors, of course. I know people are excited, riled up. It's like new hope. You know what I mean? Like, everyone loves sports is transactional. Everyone loves transactions. You know what I mean? Trades. Everyone loves trades. Everyone loves free agency. It's like draft. Everyone loves the transactions. I get that. But we're going to talk more about the game real quick. I want to talk about the defense because you mentioned it earlier. Defense. I thought the defense played really well. I'm not going to say like the defense was lights out. Like, I'm not going to go like that far. But I thought they played well. I think it was partially the Packers just shitting the bed, and I think it was a lot of the defense actually playing well. But I think AG is doing a phenomenal job. He is with what he has. That's why I want this man to have more pieces, because he is a good DC. He is a man that will be a head coach one day. And even as Zadarius Smith could help. I mean, just really, I'm serious. So I thought the defense played really well. I think they'll continue to play well. They have another tough matchup. You're getting into these quarterback matchups now, guys, which I am excited for, because you got CJ Stroud. And I know you want to talk crap, which is fine, but you got Trevor Lawrence. That's fine. You got Joe Flacco. I was told he's great.
Dude just threw in Trevor Lawrence.
I'm just saying, better quarterback play than, I don't know, Mason Rudolph. You know what I mean? You got Jordan Love again, Josh Allen, Brock Purdy. I mean, you got a couple good quarterbacks left in the schedule. Like, he's going to have his hands full, especially.
Klotz, I mean, I want to hear what you had to say, because there's a side of me to where I'm like, go ahead, Klotz.
Like I said, I think this defense is good. Like, outside of Josh Allen, I think is going to be the best look at if there's a weakness at this edge spot against an elite quarterback with some good playmakers and a good defense. I think the Bills is probably going to be the closest look that you get at a Super Bowl matchup. So I think that's where it matters. When you look at the other quarterbacks and the other teams, like the Lions, just without a doubt, in my opinion, on paper at least, just going to be able to dominate them. And I'm sure there will be games where it's close. They're not going to dominate every game. But if there's a player that can just kind of throw a wrinkle in the Lions' kind of flow that they have right now, it's just by Josh Allen making plays. But what does he do? Turn the ball over. So I think when it comes down to, like I said, through this rest of the regular season, they're going to be just fine. I think if they don't add anything, which I do not think is going to be the case, they're going to carry on. It's just when you get into the playoffs, I think that's when it's going to be a little bit more questionable. But for the rest of this regular season, they're going to be just fine. Like if Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch keep playing the way that they are, they're not going to be a top. I don't think they continue to be a top 5 defense. Like I understand they look like that right now, but I do think there's a game where the teams do get a little bit more hotter in the red zone. They take advantage of personnel, probably later on in the season, but I do think you see that situationally. They get exposed defensively. Offense will be there to carry them out of there. But I think with this defense playing right now, they just have to play top 15 defense, and that's what they can win the number 1 seed in the NFC like that. They'll win the NFC North, they'll win the NFC in general, and they'll be in the Super Bowl. But it's just that if Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and those players, that's the matchup where you worry about if they don't have somebody on that front 7.
Yeah, I don't. All right, there's something with me here with this defense, fellas. I think we can all agree, right? We can all agree the pass rush, that's an issue, correct, fellas?
And the run game.
That's been maybe a little more of an issue, but they've been able at times when push comes to shove and they need to stop the run game, they've been able to, like, there's been times where they get up the field, but we can agree the get to the quarterback has been the problem, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Outside of that, guys, like, at what point are we, like, can we give a little credit to the D? Like, we're like, they're good, but they're going to get exposed at some point, or they're good.
No one said that. Are you saying we said that?
Klotz said at some point they'll get exposed. And it's just like, I think there's like a point, though, to where, like, when you were 8 games in the season, I know half of those games were played with Aiden Hutchinson. But, like, before the Hutch thing, I think they were like 11th or 12th in points per game allowed. They have moved up since Hutch has gone out, and they are 5th. And you can say, well, they played the Tennessee Titans. They played to be honest, like, really don't care. You're in the NFL. You're playing who's presented in front of you. Like, you held the Dallas Cowboys. Half the game was with Hutch. You still held them to 9 points. They didn't score a touchdown on you. And then the next week without Hutch, you're going to Minnesota, a tough environment. You give up their defense gets put in the worst position of all time at the 25-yard line to start the game when they thought they were, you're supposed to have a long drive. You get put in a terrible position. Aaron Jones gets a touchdown. They own the rest of the game. After getting put in a terrible position, they only gave up 1 touchdown the whole game after that. That's it. And then the next week, the Titans game, a little slow of a start, but they give up 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, and then they lock in, and they don't give anything up the next 3 quarters. Nothing. I don't care if it's a bad football team. To be able to lock in and be like, let's go, fella. Like, let's figure this out. And then you lock in for 3 quarters and don't give up a touchdown. And then last night, for the 3rd week in a row without Hutch, you go into Green Bay, and you don't give a touchdown up all game long, and you give one up in garbage time for a dumb penalty, and you stop them. And you could say, yeah, well, there were mistakes made by the Packers. There was this, there was that. Like, guys, guess what? We could say that, but they kept getting into the red zone. Guess what? They were getting stops on 3rd down to force field goal on 4th down. They consistently kept getting stops when it meant something. And if someone in here wants to pull out to me, well, they're giving up 20-something yards in the end. I honestly, guys, and I came to the realization today, I really do not care about giving up yards in the NFL, because you want to know why? No, it's not the problem. It's because your team's so good that you're out there blowing teams out. There is a lot of garbage time that some of these teams are getting, and they are getting 100, 150 yards in the 3rd, 4th quarter because they're not running the ball at all. They're just airing it out, trying to get dump backs. You're playing conservative, and they're getting all these garbage yards. Like, how much garbage yards are counted towards that? What I'm looking at is, how is your defense holding them? What are they holding them to every game? What are they doing for your offense to put them in a position to win a football game? They're holding them to the 5th lowest points in the NFL, and they're putting they're putting their offense in a position to where, yeah, they can go score 50, and that you're going to blow a team out because your defense is holding them so low. But guess what? If your offense ever at some point struggles for one game, your defense is going to hold them under 20, and you only need to get to 21 to win the football game. And we could keep making excuses and be like, well, we can nitpick. We can definitely nitpick if we want. Like, we could definitely do that. We do that with the offense with Taylor Decker last week. But outside of the nitpicking and being like, well, the pass rush, that the rush defenses, and guys like Jeff, I remember I'm one of the ones that said the pass or the rush defense has struggled. It has. But at some point, we got to be like, this defense has been great the last 3 weeks. Great. Every defense, even the best defense in the NFL, has holes in it and has something at some point where you're going to be like, got to fix that. Got to get that going. That's why the Chiefs had to go out and get another pass rusher. That's why different teams have to go out. Guys, this team, the defense, even without Hutch, they've been playing at a high level. Like, they're not giving anything up. They are 5th in the NFL in points per game. That's the only stat that matters, is how many points is your defense giving up? Like, what are they putting your team in a position? That's the best stat for a defense. And they're doing they're top 5 in the NFL at that. That's all you can have.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm not going to argue anything you said about the points per game. But what I disagree with, and I don't want to say it, I'll ask you. So you think this is what caliber of defense would you say? Like, would you think this is like an elite defense? Where are you at with?
I mean, I think it's clear that there's like elite level, and then there's like really good. And I think like this team, especially if you add a pass rusher, you're going to be really good. Like, you're top 5 right now in the NFL. You can like if you add an edge rusher, you're not dropping.
You think that you said they're top 5 defense? You think is that what you said?
Statistically, they're 5th in the NFL right now.
In what?
Points per game given up.
So hold on.
That's the main stat that is how you're going. Like, offensively, we're the number 1 offense in the NFL because we have the most points per game. Defensively, you give up the 5th most. That's it. You're top 5.
So this is where we just disagree, because I don't think but points per game is obviously important. The job is to score more points than the opponent. So yeah, like if you have a great offense and so I get it is great. But I don't think you can call a close to elite defense or whatever a bend don't break defense. That's where maybe I'm a little. Can you win like that? Yeah. Like, I'm not saying they can't, and we're not too far off. I just think the bend don't break thing, that's what they rely on, which is fine. Aaron Glenn, again, I don't want to make this sound like I'm bashing Aaron Glenn. He does a phenomenal job. It's really about, to me, the biggest issue is setting the edge. They don't have they don't have enough personnel right now with Josh out, and they have 2 practice guys kind of out there. My thing is just, points per game, they're very good. Yards given up, it is what it is. They like you said, they've been in some blowouts. They force turnovers. They make it work. But yeah, we're not too far off, Boone. I just like
I guess
say like bend don't break and then be like they're very good. It's like bend don't break. You don't really call like great defenses bend don't break. You know what I mean? Like, that's not really what you call, like, yeah, whatever. But you get my point. We're not too far off there. They're fine. Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
They're good. They're a good defense. Like, I don't know they're top 4 or 5 in the NFL. I don't know. Go on, Klotzy. What do you think? I mean, I'm yapping.
My thing is, I think they're playing very good right now, but they've yet to play a truly elite quarterback outside of Matthew Stafford, and that game went into overtime, and the offense is playing better. But that's why I said like the Josh Allen thing. Like, the Lions have been playing good. If you look at the quarterbacks they've been playing, they played, like I said, Stafford, Baker Mayfield playing good. That's not an elite quarterback. Kyler Murray, he's playing like elite quarterback right now, but that's not somebody where there's a team where they can beat you. And I'm talking about the big playoff games when you're going up against elite quarterbacks. That's where I'm worried, because after that, Geno Smith, Dak Prescott, Sam Darnold, Mason Rudolph, and a banged-up Jordan Love. So that yards per game does scare me, because when you talk about in the red zone, those elite quarterbacks, those elite teams, they're going to punch the ball in the end zone, and they're going to find the weaknesses, especially on the edge. That's why I'm concerned. Is like, they're a good defense. I'm not denying that. Over the last 3 weeks, Booner, they've been playing elite. I'm not denying that. Where my question and my concern comes in is the consistency that they're going to be able to keep this up, because there's only going to be so many times where you're just going to keep bending and bending and bending and not breaking. And I fear that break comes in the biggest moment of the game. So that's why I don't know. Like, I think this defense is playing good, but to say that I have 100% confidence that they're an elite defense or a really good defense the rest of the season, that's where I'm just not sure.
Yeah, you put it better. You put it better than me. I mean, that's, and again, I don't want this to sound like we're going to argue if AG's doing a good job. Like, that's not the argument. It's just like how you'd rate this defense. They're playing well. But to Lucas's point, like last year, they're a much better defense. But again, like on paper, they are, because they have better talent. Brian Branch is amazing, and Kirby Joseph's having an interception like every game. Of course, turnovers. But again, the bend don't break thing does scare me a little bit. I saw it last year. I know it's different personnel. I understand that, but
totally different defense.
But guess what? Bend don't break still a thing.
Honestly, there's no argument against you guys, because the whole season you guys can say the same thing. Like they're playing at their best that they can with what they have, and AG has put everything together. So it's like that's why I think I'm frustrated with the criticism a little bit. It's because, guys, like 4 weeks ago when Hutch went down, everyone was expecting this defense to be bottom 15 in the NFL, and they have climbed their way up to top 5. And there's still people just being like, Yeah, I just don't know, man. This defense won't get it. Like, they're finding ways to get it done. Like, we go in week by week criticizing the defense, being like, yeah, I don't know if they'll be able to do it with Jordan Love this week. He's a mobile quarterback. I don't know if they'll be able to do it this week with Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. Like, I'm saying stuff that we've said on the show. Like, I don't know if they can do it there. Like, and then they just go out and do it, and they find ways to get stops and slow Sam Darnold down and go out there and do that and get stops and like literally the biggest moments of a game, finding a way to get a stop. Third down, when you need a stop to get the ball back to your offense, they do it. And that's where it's like, I think it's fair to be like, yeah, the bend don't break might get you at some point, but it's like, guys, like, if they don't make a move, this defense is like, they're finding ways to get the job done. And that's all you can ask for. And that's for me, it's like, at what point do we give them credit to being like, somehow, some way, AG has turned around. And when you thought Hutch went down and we all were sitting together on the stream and we're like, this defense is in a bad spot now. They have done a 360 and they've completely proved us all wrong over the last 3 weeks. And I don't think anyone can deny that, but I still hear people out there going at the defense being like, they're not going to be able to, they're not good. Like, they are. Like, this defense is good enough. Like, if I was on that defense and I hear people still criticizing, I'd be like, all right, like, what else do we need to do? We're fifth in the NFL in points per game allowed. Like, we are getting stops when the time matters. And you're just going to keep calling this bend, don't break. But we're getting the stops. Like, you wouldn't want us to get us to stop 20 yards up the field? Like, you want us to get 10 yards less of a stop? Like, that's where I think it gets really nitpicky, where it's like, we can get you 10 yards stop. Like, they're finding ways, man. And I'm not going to argue with you guys because literally it's an argument that will never have an ending because you guys could keep saying that. I keep saying this, and it will never – it's just, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, they have to. The path is what they've been doing. They have to continuously generate turnovers. Like, that has to be something that happens all the time, which they will. They've showed they can do it. So I'm not saying it's not going to happen. Continue to generate turnovers, and they have to get better against the run because that has been a staple of theirs. Slow down the run game, force them one-dimensional, and then you take the ball away. So if they can keep generating these turnovers, if they can get back to being a more consistent run defense, like that's the recipe, and the turnovers are there. So, and Dan always says they emphasize that. That's the key for this defense. You got to keep turning the ball over. And it's not, they can't just, they're not going to just shut teams out. They have to turn the ball over, which is fine. They can do it. They've shown they can do it. They have two of the best ball hawks in the league. So, it is what it is. I don't even want to spend too much time. We're not even talking about the Packers game at this point. We're just talking about the defense in general. So, again, AG did a phenomenal job. We're not talking about the Packers game. Did a really good job. We get into these conversations sometimes and we start forecasting and talk about the season and people are like, oh, the Packers game, they played well. Like, yeah, we're not talking about just the Packers game. We're talking about the forecast for the season, whatever. We'll move on. I want to get to trade deadline, dude. All right, enough of this game. Let's get to the juicy stuff. We have 350 people in here. The trade deadline is tomorrow. The Lions have some time here. They got, tonight, which it's 9:00, Brad. So if you want to make a move, great. And then tomorrow you have all
waiting for it
afternoon, and then a move could potentially be made. But I have this from Jeremy Reisman. He put this out, and this was Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. He tweeted this out. I want to show you this quote. And Jeremy Fowler put, quotes, "For my understanding, the Browns have wanted an early day 3 pick, maybe a 4th round pick or so. Nobody's budged on that yet, but the Detroit Lions are looming. The Lions and Browns have engaged in talks about a potential trade." He also writes, "The Browns are waiting a little bit to see if somebody else comes into the picture and steals the spotlight here, but there were no major injuries on Sunday at the pass rush position. That hurts Cleveland a little bit, and that was via SportsCenter. So they want an early day 3 pick. Lions are a good team. So, they're not necessarily going to have an early pick in any of the rounds, but if you got to give up, a 4th round pick, just do it.
Get it done.
Get it done. I mean, and by the way, it's not a rental. He's under contract next season. I see silent. They shouldn't budge for a rental. I don't know if he's referring to Za'Darius. Za'Darius is under contract. So if we trade for Za'Darius, you get him next year with Aiden Hutchinson. Just clarification, but
I do think, does he have an out after this year? That's my question.
The Lions have an out, I believe. Yeah, they could get out of it. Za'Darius is it's a 2-year contract. So it's not like it's like a player. There's no like player option. That doesn't exist. So
yeah, potential out with the $14 million dead cap. So you probably would just keep him at that point, right? I would think. Especially with Hutch. The thing with Za'Darius, and this was the comment earlier that I was telling you guys about. Like I put out there, like Brad's going to get a deal done. I'm pretty confident in that. And then someone said, well, like out of 10, like, what do you, and I was like, probably a 9, but there's that one to where, like, with a deal like this with Zadarius Smith, I think it's really easy. And the report yesterday from Pro Football Talk was that the deal was done and it was going to be done by last night or today, and it's still not done, which that makes me think instantly that exactly what who was that that just Jeremy Fowler, I think that was who it was that you pulled up, what he said. The only way this doesn't happen, I think, is if just a team comes out of nowhere, overprices what the Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes were putting out there as their offer, and then they walk away with Darius Smith and you don't get them. Like, that's the only way you don't get them. Like, I think they already have a deal and set and ready to go. If that does happen, my confidence level is still very high to where I do think Brad has multiple deals on the table for different players. Like, I don't think Brad, like, he's a great GM. I wouldn't believe it if Brad just has one deal there. Is Zadarius Smith. Like, I'm sure he has bang, 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 bang. Like, we have 4 options here. This is our number 1. If we get this done, all right. And if this falls through somehow, some way, last minute, boom, deal 2, deal 3, deal 4. And I would think that he has a plan, because I can't see a world, guys, where Brad Holmes goes into this trade deadline in the next 24 hours and by 5 o'clock tomorrow, there is not a new Detroit Lions. Like, that would be crazy in my mind. And I think he knows that. I think they all know it. I do not see that being a world where there's just no trade done by the Lions in the next 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, yeah, I don't have too much to say out of it. I think we talked about it a lot, but Zadarius is a guy that fits. We're just in a waiting game right now. It's a matter of time, hopefully, but I've always said it, like, it's not a lock. Like, I don't think it's a lock. It's a very good chance that it happens, but I think, like, if you're Brad Holmes and you're seeing how this defense is playing, we know how that stingent that Brad is about giving out picks and just spending any capital in general. So there's definitely a chance that Brad's like, okay, we can still roll with what we have, because that's something he's been confident in before, and the way that they're playing, it's hard not to be. So Brad, with 4th-round picks, even, like, that's Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I hope that it happens, but I don't think it's a lock by any means.
Yeah, and I think I want people to – I don't know how people feel. I mean, we've made a ton of content about trade stuff. People are eating it up. They love it. So obviously trade conversations and trade storylines are exciting for people, and I think most Lions fans do want a deal done. There are some that I see where it's like, I'm cool if they don't. I don't believe that. I don't know. I maybe I'm just being a little ridiculous, but
No.
I don't know how you watch. There's people out there that you watch who they have on the edge, and you're thinking, I'm cool with this. Let's roll. Like, and I get this coaching staff has given you a lot of reason to trust them, but like, I mean, James Houston played a lot more than he needed to on Sunday. He did. James Houston played a lot more than he needed to. In Isaiah Thomas, in El Muhammad. Great guys. Muhammad's obviously the better player. He's actually shown a little more, but those aren't 2 guys that I'm comfortable with moving forward. And I don't think anyone should be. Like, I don't know why. Everyone should be in unison. Everyone should be together on this. Go get a player. And no one's saying to overpay for a player, right? If it's a day 3 pick, I say get it done, because if you're Brad Holmes and you're giving away a mid-round pick, why wouldn't you do that? He is so good at drafting players all over the draft. Lions fans, I saw one comment. Someone said, well, I don't know if I want to trade away a 4th because it's like a second to Brad Holmes. He's like a 2nd rounder to Brad Holmes, which, like, yeah, Brad Holmes can identify talent, but like, let's keep it a stack here. Okay. He's human. He's not going to hit on every single 4th-round pick. Like, the 4th-round pick this year, was it Sione Vaki?
Yeah. And he traded up for him too.
Would you trade Sione Vaki right now for Zadarius Smith?
Yeah, wouldn't even be a question. And then even like the 3rd-round pick, they pick Manu as a 3rd-round pick.
Especially if he has another year on his deal.
And again, Sione Vaki, he's a fine player, but I would trade him right now for Zadarius Smith. That's a 4th-round pick. So for people out there that, might look at things like, oh, the 4th rounder, I don't want to give up anything. I want to hoard all these draft picks. Not saying sell them all, but one single pick, and it's a 4th rounder. I think everyone should be like, yes, bring him home. Bring him to Detroit. That's where I'm at. I don't know. I've seen things around here. All right. I'm a lot of time on social media. Obviously, it's our business. But I just see some people, oh, no, we don't have to make a move at all. I'm cool. Don't give away any draft capital. I don't know how that's even a thought process. I struggle to comprehend that.
Well, coming from someone who thinks the Lions will win a Super Bowl without making a move, you still need to go make a move. I'm with you, Jeff. Like I just talked about the defense, that whole. You can go add edge rushers. Like you could still go out there and get edge rushers. Like the Chiefs guys, they're back-to-back Super Bowl champions, and they're going out there and they're making moves. They've already made 2 trade deadline moves. Like you can always add, and that's where I think it gets a little frustrating a little bit with the people who are like, oh, so if they don't make a move, you don't believe they can do it, or like you know what I mean? Like that argument and that side of thing. It's guys, like you're a Super Bowl contender. Go make a move. That's what being a buyer is at the deadline. Is you have that chance to bolster up your football team and make it even that much more. So yeah, you need, like, your weakest part of your football team right now is the edge. Like that's what it is. So take a fourth. Take a fourth, especially if you get Zadarius Smith next year with Aiden Hutchinson for a fourth. You're not going to get a guy in the draft in the 4th round at the edge position that's as good as Zadarius Smith. You're not. Like, you're going to probably draft an offensive lineman in the 1st round next year or something, maybe an edge, but you're not going to get the production even out of probably a late first that you're going to have because you won the Super Bowl, or 2nd round defensive edge that you would get out of a Zadarius Smith next year with Aiden Hutchinson, DJ Reader, and Ali McNeil. So that's hey, done deal. Give me it. Why not? Huh?
Hey, real quick, gotta interrupt. This is, and by the way, people, if you haven't checked out our shop, officialctsports.com, check it out. Roman just cooked this up on our store.
My gosh.
This is, I mean, look at this.
We got it in a hoodie too, I'm sure.
Yeah, we will. It's going to be in a hoodie. And it's going to be up. It's going to be up tomorrow morning. So release tomorrow morning. If you guys want to get your shirts, your hoodies, any other clothing, let me know. And shout out to Roman. He is the absolute GOAT. But this
tomorrow morning?
Yeah, tomorrow morning he'll be on the shop. So look at Brian Branch. It's the middle fingers.
I would not want to be a wide receiver the rest of the year lined up from Brian Branch, because Brian Branch is a guy that is a killer, but he always remains like cool, even keel. Like Brian Branch yesterday, cussing out the refs, cussing out Packers fans. Like I think that man, like you were saying yesterday, Boone, or you're saying today about yesterday, how the line just kind of. I think that game kind of clicked, found like a little bit of identity and arc. And I think with Brian Branch, with those two, with him and Kirby Joseph, like those two are just going to be taking heads off all year long. Like Brian Branch is going to be playing pissed off the rest of the year. He is. I mean, if you're him, you're a guy that pretty like calm, like I'm saying, and then you make plays. You don't need anything to piss you off because you know that you're better than everybody. When someone gets in your way from making a play, that just stays with you, I think.
Also, guys, you see, I saw this as well, and I want your thoughts. Someone we haven't talked about a ton. I made a video today about it. Aziz Ojulari. All right, what do you think of the old Aziz Ojulari, the New York Giants pass rusher, former 2nd round pick? He is an expiring deal. Apparently, he's the betting favorite to go to the Detroit Lions per Bovada. Betting favorite to land in Detroit. ML Football shared it. Not saying it's going to happen. I'm prefacing that. I'm not saying this is the Bible, but he's available.
Yeah, I'll say this, and I'm going to get something off my chest here tonight, boys. ML Football, I love them. I talk to them. Great people. They've been putting out these tweets of like who's the betting favorite to go to these teams. Like they had Myles Garrett as the favorite to go to the Lions. Myles Garrett's not getting traded. Like that's not a thing.
But Aziz might.
I know, but I've hated this because it's like these aren't even like, it's like they're putting this out all day with all these different players and different teams all day long, and it's like these are Bovada odds. Like, what are we doing here?
Well, I will say, then that's on me for bringing that up. I've seen outlets.
No, you're good. I've seen these Bovada odds all day long, and they've been posting these all day long. I saw the Myles Garrett one, and I thought it was going to be a report that potentially Myles Garrett is on the move, and I read it, and it's like, per Bovada odds. I'm like, whoa. You can't get me hyped like that with Myles Garrett. Like, what are we doing here? It was unbelievable. I mean, I would like Aziz. I mean, he's been playing well this year. He has 6 sacks this season. He has 2 games with double sack. I'm looking at it here. Versus Pittsburgh, he had 2, and Cincinnati, he had 2. Expiring deal, I believe, too, and I don't think people take this into account. If you have a player and they're a free agent, and say you give up a 4th or a 5th or whatever it is for a guy, and he doesn't re-sign with you, you do get a comp pick. So like there's situations to where you make these trades and potentially could get a comp pick back that might make up for that whole situation of that trade. I was listening to someone talk about it today, and it was something I never even crossed my mind at all on these expiring deals. So that could be a potential thing. If he's on the last year of his deal, I'm all in on doing a guy like that has 6 sacks already. We know can get the production and help your defensive line. And there's the potential if that does happen, if that's true, you get a comp pick at some point. I would do that. Tyler said, Booner, tell us more how comp picks work. Not doing that. It's confusing to me. Not gonna lie.
I mean, Aziz,
it's a confusing thing. They like come out. Oh, sorry, Klotz. They just come out with these comp picks at the end of the year if a player signs somewhere else. I don't even know how it works with there's like levels to it. Even if a coach leaves and signs somewhere else, you get a comp pick. Some teams, dude, have gotten like 6, 7 of them. You have to go read up on it.
No, I just think Aziz is exactly what Detroit Lions fans wanted James Houston to be this year. He's not going to be helping you at all against the run, in my opinion. He can make a play here or there, but consistently, no. But getting after the passer, that's what we just talked about for the last 20, 25 minutes, is being able to get after the passer. Can Aziz do that? Absolutely. So, in my opinion, even if it's not Zadarius Smith and you get Aziz, that's definitely a W, especially what Booner's talking about with the comp picks. He's a guy that can just go in there and situationally, he's not going to be on the field for all 3 downs. But when it's 3rd and 8, you got Josh Allen coming into Ford Field. He's a guy that can go and get after Josh Allen. And not to mention, I mean, the Lions have had joint practices with the New York Giants back-to-back years. So they know exactly what Aziz is. And if you bring him in, I don't think there's going to be any question as far as can he fit in the locker room? Can he fit? Like the Detroit Lions already know that. Obviously, they do when they trade for a player, but they have an up close and personal look at this guy for the last 2 seasons. So I'm definitely not going to be complaining. I know you guys won't be either, but I'm sure there are some people be like, it could have got to Darius to make an impact. I don't care. Get anyone to get after the quarterback because that's what the Detroit Lions need.
You know what? Bring back Bruce Irvin. You know what? What is Bruce Irvin doing? What's Bruce Irvin doing? Pick up the phone. Hey, Bruce Irvin. You want to make another quarterback piss blood? Come hang out.
Michael Thomas would support it.
Hey, Michael Thomas,
Throwing crazy on Twitter.
Yeah, he did. But Aziz, I think, and I talked about this today. The only thing with Aziz is he's gotten a little better. He's good at setting the edge. He's gotten better at that. Struggles a little bit against the run just because he's not a big guy to us. But in the NFL standards, 6'3", as like an edge, he's a great pass rusher. And I'm curious what the Giants. I've seen reports. And by the way, this isn't just the bravado. Like I've seen other journalists kind of put out that the Lions have had reportedly, and this is all per sources, and you guys know how this works, but they've at least inquired about Aziz, just like Brad is doing. He's inquiring about everyone. He is an expiring deal. He's a former 2nd-round pick. He's young, and guess what? He's dealt with injuries, which you guys know how Brad operates. He hears injuries, bing, light bulb goes off in his head, and he's a little more intrigued just because I think in Brad's eyes, he talked about it in an interview once that, he has like a soft spot for those guys because value's kind of lower, but he sees the potential. It didn't work out great with Marcus Davenport. Didn't work out great with Emmanuel Mosley, but you get the point. I mean, there is clearly an infatuation he has with guys that kind of deal with injuries. And Aziz has not had to deal with any this year. So this year he's been fine. I don't know if I would love if he was the only guy, the best ability is availability. I would much rather have like Arden Key, like Corey Hall just put in there over Aziz because Arden Key's actually been playing really solid. He's a little bigger, but Zadarius to me, and that's why it always goes back to him. He's he's more complete. He can play again. He's good against the run. Good pass rusher. I think he's got 5 sacks. Aziz has 6 sacks. So it's like, and I think Zadarius is someone that you wouldn't have to really worry about at all in terms of like making sure he's prepared. Like he's just a dude. He's a vet. He's familiar with the NFC North opponents. Aaron Glenn just has to be like, hey, Zadarius, ready to go? All right, cool. That's it. You don't have to have these like extensive conversations with him about stuff he's doing wrong. He knows his role. He's played for different teams. He's played in different systems. He just gets it. And on top of that, he offers the young guys some knowledge, like a Josh Paschal or Al Muhammad, Isaiah, all those guys, James Houston even. So there's like so much he brings, and he fits. I think Zadarius fits the culture. I don't know much about Aziz, but Zadarius as like a human being, he seems like he would be the guy Dan and them would just be like, welcome him with open arms. I think he would fit perfectly. So, and I've been saying this for weeks now. I know we went from Judon, now with Zadarius Smith. People thought I was reporting he was coming to the Lions. I never reported anything. But if it happens, then maybe I did report it. Maybe I did if it happens. But I'm banking on it, guys. Maybe I'm giving my hopes up. Maybe I'm giving my hopes up. If it doesn't happen tomorrow, we're gonna have an interesting show. You're not gonna want to miss it. But Zadarius is the one. Bring him home.
I would be so shocked, guys. Like it would be shocking. What was that? Is there a trade?
No.
Oh, I was just say I would be shocked if there's not a deal done. If they don't, like, if they don't do that, I would be like, oh my gosh, like, I know the fan base would probably go crazy. There will be the side of fan base would be like, I'm sure the doc will expect me to be like, calm down. Yeah, I think the Lions still win a Super Bowl. They're, again, before they made a move, they're second in Super Bowl odds. But outside of that, you need a pass rush, and you don't have the one right now. Like, everyone is hurt. It's not like we just lost Aiden Hutchinson. We've lost 6 guys. Like, we've lost him, or Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus Davenport, Kyle Pecco, the commish. It just keep like guys just keep. It's terrible. Guys just keep getting hurt. So it's kind of brutal. If they don't make a move, I think there's going to be that side of the fan base like, what are we doing, Brad? We can't go back-to-back years without doing that.
I really hope it doesn't. I hope we don't get into a situation where, there's no trade. I'll just say that. I trust Brad, and I get Gerald. Like, I understand this perspective. I trust Brad Holmes regardless what happens. Like, yeah, I get that. Of course we trust Brad Holmes, but you're allowed to be. Not talking to Gerald. I'm just talking to General. Gerald, you're awesome. But I'm talking in general. I'm allowed to be upset, though. Absolutely.
Yeah, you could be upset. But I don't think, Jeff, if they don't make a move tomorrow and you come in here tomorrow, like, you could be upset. Everyone would be upset. But if people start coming in here like they're not going to win a Super Bowl, I'll have a problem with that because that's wrong. Like, it's dead wrong. Like, they could still win a Super Bowl. Like, obviously, like, common sense, just football common sense, if they don't make a move, their percentage isn't going to go down. It's going to be the same as it was today, but it's not going to go up. Like, if that makes sense. Like, they're still the second, and they have the second best odds to win the Super Bowl. Like, if that's where I know there's going to be a side of the fan base who are going to say that the odds go down. That's not true. And if that's where people, like, you could be upset because you didn't give yourself a better chance, but guys, they're still going to have a chance to win a Super Bowl with or without a move tomorrow. That's a fact. Like, the everyone's telling you that's a fact. They're plus 450 to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna I see John. Shout out John Lord. Is Jeff being afraid again? I am afraid. I'm afraid of Brad not making a move. I will say this. Am I gonna come on here and say they won't win a Super Bowl? No, but I'm gonna come on here and be like, yeah, the concern level for me, it's still there. Like, I'm still concerned. I am. At least adding someone would be like, whew. They added some depth, but it would be disappointing if they didn't, for sure. Like, we'd all agree there.
Yeah, I think everyone, you want to give yourself the best chance to win football games.
Yeah, and in an open NFC, it seems like an open NFL. If you don't make a move, like, I don't know, like,
dude, even last year, like,
that move by Brad would for sure be questionable. I will say, for sure, questionable.
Yeah.
In an open NFL, like, guys, and I've mentioned this before. All right, and it's something I do believe in. If any team, no team, yeah. I love that comment, by the way.
Jeff, I'm Frady.
Like, building a roster through the draft is the perfect, ideal situation. Brad has nailed that. You got to add in free agency. Brad has done that. You have to add at some point. Like, the trade deadline's there for a reason. Like, if you need needs, you go get it at the trade deadline. Last year they got TPJ. He's a bust. Didn't work out. And what was the other move Brad made at the trade deadline? I don't think
it was just TPJ.
So, like, you gotta. It's time. Like, this is a clearly a need. They need a pass rusher. Like, last year, Boone, you were the one that said, you know what? They don't. They'll still make a run, and they did. This year, it is not the same at all because they had Hutch. They don't have Hutch. So that it would hurt even more than last year. Like, last year, you had an argument because of that. Like, oh, well, they'll be fine. This year, it's like, I'm sorry, they'll be. I'm not saying they won't be fine, but what I'm saying
is they're still going to be competing for a Super Bowl.
Competing, Absolutely, they will.
We need to have like a, because it's tough. It's easy to get into like it's so easy to get into this, like the terms of people that like the way people say things, like to you or Jeff, like you're like you're trying to, and I feel like you're trying to not beat around, but like we don't want to say the wrong, like they're not going to win the Super Bowl because they're going to have a chance, like a percentage. Like I just love looking at it as a percentage, like they have this percentage of winning, and if they don't tomorrow, like dude, that's staying there.
Let me put it like this:
in the Chiefs, they made the moves, their percentage went up to win the Super Bowl. Like if who's another contending team? The 49ers make a move, their percentage is going up to they have their odds to win the Super Bowl. If Brad doesn't make a move, you're staying pat. And you're like, there's 3 things you can do at a deadline: sell, stay put, or buy. And when you're a contending team to win a championship in any sport, you're always a buyer. You have to be a buyer. If you have the picks to do it, you're a buyer. You go all in to go win a Super Bowl. Go ahead.
Let me put it like this. Maybe this will help us. So they had my confidence level with Aiden. Okay. No Aiden drops. They don't add anyone. It's still here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like
it just,
if you're still here, we're just in different areas. Like that's fine. If you're as confident, and you can be. I'm not saying making you. No one. I'm not telling anyone.
What do you mean? Like tomorrow, like today? What's your confidence level? Give me a.
Let me repeat.
Like today with the current roster, where are you at?
So with Aiden here, Aiden goes down here. Okay, they don't make a move, stays here.
Okay, yeah. The Aiden thing threw me off. I just want to know, like in my mind, this conversation.
You want to get a little higher.
I agree. You confused me a second there because in my mind, you bring up the Hutch stuff. I think it's like, all right, I don't even care about the being up here with Hutch. It's just where are we at today? Like, because the Hutch thing, it's over with. Like, he's not coming back until next year. So it's like, where are we at today? Boom, we're right here. And I'm with you on that, Jeff. It's like if they don't make a move, boom, you're still right here. Like you're still here. Like you're second in the NFL and odds to win a Super Bowl without making a move. If you make the move, guess what happened tomorrow? If they make a move tonight, guess what might happen tomorrow? Boom, they're first in the odds to win the Super Bowl, and you're sitting in the driver's seat. That's where you need to get. Like that's where you need to get.
Yes, and I won't be back where I was with Hutch. I will not. It's not going to get there. So that was the peak. Like I'm ready. Let's do this shit. We're lower. I said this while you're Klotz, even if you agree with me. Lower without Hutch. My confidence. If they don't make a move, it just stays here. And I'm going to be honest. Here's not somewhere I'm like, yeah, like it's that's locked crazy. In. Book it.
That's a little crazy to me.
To say it's not
a lock, but I still think it's saying. Like very, very high % of them going to the Super Bowl, even without making a move.
I'm talking about again with Hutch winning the Super Bowl. You're talking about going. I'm talking about winning a Super Bowl with Hutch. Goes here. I would like it to be higher in terms of like confidence in winning a Super Bowl. That is what I'm talking. Making it, yeah, like we've seen. I mean, teams make this. I'm talking about we're trying to win this thing. You know what I mean? We're trying to win the Super Bowl. Making it like will be awesome, but if you lose, it's the same. It's still like you lost the Super Bowl. You got to run this thing back. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to get a ring here.
I guess. So.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? You want to win a ring. You play to win. What's the?
I agree. I think they can win. I think they can win with the roster that they have today. Currently, I do.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's pretty much the same thing you said, Jeff. I do think like they're going to the Super Bowl. Like there's nobody in the NFC. So I think this is definitely a different conversation if the Lions are in the AFC, but that's not the case of the situation. So the Lions are going to win the NFC, even if they don't have it. And like I said, my concern is, it's not saying that they can't, but my major concern is it's probably lower than Jeff's confidence level, just because I think as the season goes on, what are you going to have more? Injuries. So even if you don't make a move, even if it's not just for a jack, like the depth I do think will become more of an issue. We've seen it already become an issue, and teams do not get healthier as the season goes on. So that definitely is a concern for me. But if they can win the Super Bowl, but if it's like at making up numbers 1 through 10, with Hutch it was at like a 9. Without Hutch, it's probably at like a 6. And now if you don't make a move, it probably stays at a 6. Maybe goes like a 5.5 just because of the difference of the depth. But they still have a chance. But the way that this offense is playing, they're always going to have a chance in any game. But it's that game where the offense isn't able to get going how they have been is where it does concern me.
Yeah, it comes down like SW line 26. There's an element to luck to win the Super Bowl. What the Lions have done with all these players they're missing is borderline miraculous, which, you know what? Yes, you are right. And I also do firmly believe that, and to Booner's point, like competing for a Super Bowl, when you're in that game, you just want to get there. You just want to be in the game, and you have players that can make key plays in key moments, and they do have those players. But when you add a guy like Za'Darius, for example, he's not Aiden. No one's saying that. But you're in a Super Bowl, tied game, third quarter, third down. He's someone that can make a play. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, other guys can as well. But I'm talking about specifically rushing the passer. Like, he's another guy who can make a play. If they do not make a move, same situation, pass rush, you're going Aleem. I'm banking. I'm more confident in Aleem. He's the one I would probably be looking at. Like, yeah, could El Muhammad make a play? Yeah. But just now, I'd be like, okay, Aleem, you got it. I would be a little more comfortable with like, all right, Aleem or Za'Darius. Someone can make a play here. DJ Reader. Like, you got a couple more options here in the pass rush. That's what I'm saying. Maybe you can blitz an iffy, of course. Okay. But that's where I'm at. Yeah, I would like another guy in a key situation to be able to make a play, and I think Za'Darius can do that. Not to the level of Aiden, but he can make some plays. So that's it. SW Line 26 says, I do the trade Smith for a fourth. True Teller 2011 says, if you say the Lions can win the NFC without Hutch, you are downplaying the value he provided. I think you guys are understating how critical the pass rush is in the playoffs.
I mean, I do think there's an element there, especially like in the playoffs. Like, the Lions are having trouble against the run right now, but what do teams always rely on even more in the playoffs is the run, especially if you're playing outside. Now, they're going to be indoors, but it's going to be easier for those other teams to run. The Lions will still be able to stop the run a little bit, but still, even adding Za'Darius Smith, that's where I think Aiden Hutchinson's loss was the least talked about, was his impact against the run. And I understand where they've only given up 14 points last week, 12 points the week before that. That's why you talk about in the playoffs against these better quarterbacks in the red zone. If the team's going to be able to run the ball into the red zone and they convert, that's keeping that offense off the field. So I do think there's absolutely truth in that. That's why it sounds nice to be like the Lions can go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl with this active roster. That's just something I don't agree with, because it's weeks 1 through 17 are like season number 1. Then there's a whole different type of season, a whole different type of situations where I think that's where the lead of the lead is, and that's in the playoffs. And it's a different type of game. And that's why I get concerned with it.
Yeah, I don't think his comment. I mean, if you're saying the Lions can win the NFC without Hutch, you're downplaying the value he provided. I think in downplaying. I think people, I'll let you explain your side, Booner, on this. I think people, when they talk about the Lions, right, they are confident in the team they have. Without Hutch, they still feel like the team they have is still good enough. I think with Hutch, you'd be obviously superior. You'd be way more confident. But I actually don't think he's too often.
He's the best defensive player in the NFL. Like, you're not downplaying anything. It's obvious. Like, when people don't, this is like what in class. This isn't at you guys. Like, this is what I can't. I get there's 2 seasons, the playoffs and the regular season. We're sitting here, guys. Like, we're gonna do our top 10 teams tomorrow, and all of us are gonna have the Lions at number 1. And we're sitting here saying that they're going to have a harder path of winning. Like, this team can't win a Super Bowl. Take them off the number 1, and like, I don't care if it's today or what. Like, if you truly think they're the number 1 team in the NFL, like, when I put the Chiefs on there, they're the number 1 team in the NFL. I think they're going to win a Super Bowl. If I have the Lions at number 1, they're going to win a Super Bowl. Whoever have them at 2 and 3 spot, they're going to win. They have a chance to win the Super Bowl. You can win it without Hutch. Like, this isn't like a, oh my gosh, like without, like, it's not downplaying Hutch. Now, if you have Aiden Hutchinson, guys, if you had Aiden Hutchinson right now and the team's playing the way they are, they would be plus 150 to win the Super Bowl in the odds. They would be the biggest favorite that we've seen to win the Super Bowl. The offense is that much better than last year. Like, you have JMO added to this. Jahmyr Gibbs is now playing as a top 5 running back. David Montgomery's top 10 in the NFL. Your offensive line keeps getting better and better each week. And then you go on the defensive side of the ball. Your safety crew got that much better with Kirby. You guys are combined for, 11 interceptions. You're leading the NFL right now in turnover differential. Your corners are starting to get better and better as the weeks go on. Meek's getting better. You have DJ Reader on the defense line now. Jack Campbell's one of the best. Like, all right, over the last 3 weeks, Jack Campbell's one of the best linebackers, probably playing at a top 10 level right now over the last 2 weeks of football. You have Anzo still. You have, like, I get without Hutch, like, it's tough. But, like, let's not take away what the current team is doing. It is, if you add Hutch to it, they are by far, and like without a doubt, it would be the Detroit Lions. Not even a major gap. It would be the biggest gap you've ever seen, and then the next football team. I don't care if the Chiefs are 7-0, about to be 8-0. The Lions are that much better of a team if they have Aiden Hutchinson right now. Like, we're all going to sit here and put them at the number one team in the NFL and then be like, I just don't think they can win a Super Bowl with the current team. The current team, the last 2 weeks, we've had at number one in the NFL. If you have them at number one in the NFL, they can win the Super Bowl. That's what frustrates me. And I get the criticism because I have the same one. But I don't like the two sides. And there's people in the chat that do it. There's people on Twitter that do it. There's people in other networks that do it. Don't play the two sides. They're either the best team in the NFL and they can win a Super Bowl and they still have improvements and they can get better. And Hutch, without them, they are struggling at that position, but they have other spots around the NFL, around their team to make up for it. Special teams, offense, secondary. Guys, like this defense is a legit defense. I get there is pass rush problems. There is rush defense problems. They have been good at that, and you need to figure that out. That is not a lie. That is true. Even the best teams in the NBA, they have had all right, we need to fix this before the playoffs come around. We need to figure out this defensively, offensively.
It'd be different, but and by the way, a lot of what you said, Booner, but I'm asking you just to clarify. Yeah. Like when you say like the pass rush and the rush thing, they can just fix it. Do you think with some teams it's like scheme or it's like certain things? The thing that worries me is like the pass rush. I'm more worried like personnel. Which, like, I don't think you can
again, that's part of what I agree with you. You can't. But again, like AG last year, even though you had Hutch last year, like there was in the playoffs, he was really good. But there were also things where they had to switch schemes up and they had to figure things out. Because on the other side of Hutch, you had no one. All you had was Aleem. Aleem went down for a little bit. Guys, like, the only thing that just gets under my nerves with this is literally just they can't win the Super Bowl. Like, yes, they can. We all have them as the number one team in the NFL. The number one team in the NFL at any week in the NFL, unless like it's week 1 and some random team is up there, or week 3, like the Vikings, they have a chance to win the Super Bowl.
Klotz, you were speaking during.
I'm just gonna be. I think when you go back and you look at the history of Super Bowl winners, I understand that Aiden Hutchinson, you're losing the best defensive player, but it's also at the most important defensive position. You go back and we talk about the quarterbacks that already played in the playoffs. In the Super Bowl, it's completely different. Like we went through, like they played Mason Rudolph and an injured Jordan Love the past 2 games. Defense has played great, but the situation is going to be completely different. You can care about it. You don't have to. I'm not saying the Lions can't win the Super Bowl. What I'm saying is we can't ignore right here that this defense is going to be able to keep this level up with the quarterbacks that they're going to be playing in the Super Bowl. This defense is not going to be looking the same way. Can they be making plays? Absolutely. But when it comes to the playoffs, I don't think this is going to be a defense that stands out and looks like a top 5 defense. I think this is a defense that situationally, when they've been getting stops, is going to be giving up points. And I think that adds up. Can they still make the Super Bowl? I think they will. Can they win the Super Bowl? Yes, they can. Now, the lock on it.
There we go. We're good then.
I don't think it's like, there's no sweat, because there's going to be offensive coordinators, offensive head coaches, quarterbacks that make plays against this defense. That's why it's not such a sure thing, in my opinion, compared to yours, Boone.
Jeff Teague says, just with the injuries, Hutch, Pascal, Martin, Davenport, Pecco. Actually, Martin's coming back soon. Barnes, we need 100% need 2 DNs. I agree with Jeff, though. I like your name, too. But, yeah, they're going to need some depth here. So
they do. I just, like – Klotz, you said they can win a Super. That's all I wanted to hear, because before it was they can't. Like, that's why it's like, let's stop saying they can't. Like, we have think about the words, like they can without that, but it's harder. Like, again, that's what comes back to the percentage thing. It's like it's tougher. Like they still can win the Super Bowl with their current roster. It's obvious that there is a little bit more of a challenge.
Yeah.
So Brad needs to stay on the phone tonight and he needs to make a play. Like, it's game time for him. It's like game 7 of the NBA Finals for Brad Holmes right now, because literally the cutoff is tomorrow. Like, yeah, he's going to have to go scout for the NBA draft and all of that. But for this season, this is the last move for Brad Holmes to make as a GM for the 2024 season. It's tomorrow. They're like, the roster is essentially locked in. Excuse me. Unless you get practice squad guys, it's essentially locked in with those types of guys tomorrow. So it's like, hey, this is Brad Holmes' Super Bowl. Is tomorrow. But there better be a play that's made.
Yeah. I mean, that's the reality. Brad's got to make a deal. I think it's going to come tomorrow. I think Brad's the type of guy that'll like push it to closer to the deadline just to get like the best deal, see if a team will budge. Could bite him in the ass. I don't think it will. I think a deal gets done tomorrow. I think it's Darius Smith or someone. And by the way, Vision Stealth, we appreciate you. He donated $5 earlier and said your weakness will always show in the playoffs. So appreciate you, Vision Stealth, for that. Appreciate the donation there. I want to get to a couple more comments just so before we get to your Kool-Aid jugs, because You do got some to give away today, but before I want to get to some people. SW line 26. Well, I think the goal is to have a 50% or better with this roster. It's maybe 20%. It's a little egregious. That's okay. Yeah, 20% is yeah. Well, I don't know what that means though. Are we talking like once you're in the game, you got a 20% chance? That's insane.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, that means you're like a big underdog, which there's no way.
Maybe just in general. I don't think any team has like a 50% chance in general because of all the team. I mean, the odds, the Lions are one of the, I don't know. I get your point, though, if you're concerned. But, yeah, I don't know. It's
like Gemini here said, don't listen to that guy. The Lions can't win a Super Bowl with the current pass rush. Hey, Gemini, I just want to ask like you, and you put it in the chat. Do you think the Lions are the best team in the NFL right now? Who do you have ranked number 1 in the NFL? I would love to know that.
Do you agree with that? Well, we talked about it earlier, but I didn't really hear your thoughts on it because I saw some comments too in the chat. Like you fully aware and fully understand that
what?
Always sometimes teams that are great in the postseason, or excuse me, the regular season,
for sure,
playoffs are different. Okay,
I agree. Like the Eagles last year, the Eagles got beat by 30 last year to the Bucks in the playoffs after the 10-0 start.
Yeah. Or, and there's teams that have won 13, 14 games and lost in round 1. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what the Lions, and I get people wanting moves. We all do. All three of us do. So yeah, I mean, hopefully a move gets made tomorrow. I mean, I don't want to be stressed tomorrow. I want to be enjoying tomorrow. All right.
I hope there's a move tonight. I hope in the next like 10 minutes we could just get a alert. Like
get a little smooth in.
I just hope we have a fun show discussing the addition. I mean, that's what I'm hoping for, fellas. Breaking down Zadarius Smith again. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I don't want to have to like come in with the Booner path tomorrow and have to make. I'm gonna have to make a new path, which I'm fine with. I did it last year. It'll have to happen though. It'll have to happen. I'll have to find a new way to go win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. So that's kind of your mindset. No moves made. You're just going to come in and be like, it's okay. We'll move forward.
I mean, you have to move forward, right? It's like we could talk about it for like the next 10 weeks, but it's like you have to still find a way to win. Like you have no choice at that.
I mean, yeah, but I'm not on the coaching staff. All right, I'm gonna come on and I'm gonna be pissed off. All right, that's what
they didn't make a move. Season's over. Let's back it up. We're done for shows for
the year. I'm gonna share my opinion. I'm gonna share my opinion.
I agree. For sure.
I'm not gonna be like, all right, boys. Game plan for the Texans. Like, we're not on the staff. Like, I'm going to come on and be like, all right, like, what the hell happened? Why didn't a move get made? Like, I would be shocked if one does not get made. I will. I'm serious. I wish there was like a line for a trade to be made. It should be like minus.
Oh my gosh.
I would say there is minus one somewhere. 250. Give me that.
I wouldn't say that. Hey, this is
minus 200
we're talking about here, fellas. That's where it's like, it ain't a lock. Like, I would put it at like
plus money.
It's like minus 102 in my eyes.
No, it's not a 50. That's like 50-50. I think it's like 80-20, 90-10.
They make a move?
Yes.
I like that.
Guys, you lost 5 defensive linemen to injury. Like, the only way they don't make a move again is if just a miraculous, things would have to fall apart to where Brad's like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Like, he probably has I'll deal with Aziz lined up. He probably has a deal with like Jadeveon Clowney lined up, with Chase Young lined up, with I don't know. I'm trying to think of just all these. He probably has like deals lined up. It's not 50% chance he's making a move unless something just completely just falls apart. Like, come on, guys.
You guys know that
I almost want to put a Booner lock on it and just we could. I don't know.
You know the Joe Dumars meme where he has like 2 phones.
Yeah,
that's Brad Holmes.
I almost posted this picture of Adam Schefter with like 3 phones in his hand, just like trade deadline, like just sitting here on trade deadline.
Yeah, I really hope that's the situation for Brad Holmes.
Klotz, if you think there's a 50% chance, I would love to make we could do a pizza bet or something. I would love to.
I want him to make a trade. Like, I hope that happens. Maybe 51-49. I just don't think it's a lot because the reasoning that I said before, like, I think Brad, he loves sticking to his guns. It's the identity of the team and the way that their defenses look. Like, you just went into Lambeau. Like, everything you're saying about this defense right now, Brad Holmes knows about it. So if he's very confident in it, which I think he is, I think Brad Holmes is a little bit more hard to get a deal off of compared to the teams that are always making moves. Could this be the trade deadline where he shakes that narrative? Possibly, absolutely. But so far, he has not been that type of guy on record. So that's why I don't think it's a lot. I think hey, 50-50 is a good chance.
No,
It's
no,
landing
it's
on one or the other.
I honestly, I genuinely think there's like an 85% chance that there is a deal that gets done. That maybe I would go 90. When the guy asked me on Twitter, what is that? I said 9 out of 10. That's a 90% chance. I do think that. But he hasn't done deals in the past because you never were a Super Bowl contender. You are now. You're a Super Bowl contender now.
Right.
Whether
But
like
their team
you have to adjust.
This is the best Detroit Lions team we've seen, and I'm just playing devil's advocate of why I'm saying when I think in my head where it's like, okay, why wouldn't the deal get done? And there's some valid you're like, all right, we got this, we got this, we got this, we got this, we got this. Could we use the edge rusher? Absolutely, but do we need it? No. I love 4th round picks. That's where it's just kind of the counterpoint where it's like I do think you got to hold some weight there.
I can't see it. I can't see a world where
I hope Boone. I hope you're absolutely right. I do think there's a good chance a deal gets done. I'm not saying no deal's going to get done. There's not going to be a deal done. I just don't think it's necessarily a lock if it's taken this long already. Like Gaden Hutchinson's been hurt for like a month now, and it's like, okay, I understand that prices get cheaper at the deadline, but
yeah, I mean, typically most of the trades do happen on deadline day. Like that's when things like tomorrow. There's going to be boom, boom. It's gonna be like the NBA trade deadline. Boom, 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 all day long.
My thing is just if Brad thought, I think in my opinion, if Brad thought there's a huge pressing need to go get somebody, he would have already done it. That's why I'm just a little standoffish towards it as far as it being a lock and something happens tomorrow. But that's just me, my opinion.
All right, let's get your Kool-Aid jug. You got some jugs.
I don't know why you said it like that though.
I don't know.
That was crazy. Kool-Aid jug.
Hey.
All right, brother.
Hey, Boone. A lot of candidates in this game.
I'm interested to see how you guys react to some of these. Can you go a different one? Can you do that guy at the end, Jeff? Just a request. I saw who you pulled up.
That guy at the end. That doesn't give me like the best hint.
Who you just threw up? Who you were about to throw up?
First.
That one. Do him last.
Okay. Oh, there's other. Okay.
I don't have two, Klotzy. You're gonna love this. I have the Kool-Aid pitcher. We went to our event yesterday in Grand Rapids. I took all of the beers I had with us. Did not get them back. I think they're sitting in Jeff's car or at Jeff's house. So I do not have.
No chaser thing.
But what I do have is a towel here. A Real American Beer. It's brought to you by Real American Beer. I don't know how the towel wave will do here, boys. All right, Kool-Aid jugs, baby. Week 8 versus the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. I think this was tough to go about it. I struggled picking 3 guys because I felt like this was a very, very good team win, a team victory. You go on the road, NFC North matchup, one of the biggest games to date of the 2024 season. There are some guys who just made plays in timely moments. I didn't essentially look at the big stats of everything. I know there was guys who had big plays, this, that. I looked at in the moment when a play needed to be made, who made those plays. And I think you guys all will agree with me on some of these guys here. Jeff Iafrate, the first Kool-Aid jug / ball given out for week 8. Green Bay Packers. Bring them up. Bring the man up. I'll take it.
God, I mean, like 4 incompletions.
Jared. The man goes by the name of Jared.
Oh,
this is crazy. I don't know what's happening here. I feel like I'm in an alternate universe.
There you go.
Jared MVP Goff, baby. Now, guys, he only had 140-something yards. But listen, you can only do what you're asked to do. He was asked to throw the ball 22 times. The man completed 18 of them. And 2 of them, I believe, were just throws away. He threw it away because of a pass rush. So he made the plays when push came to shove, Jeff Iafrate, what did the man do? He completed and made plays. He also, I considered Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra with an unbelievable catch in the touchdown, but Jared Goff as well. I thought about it, 18 for 22, and then he put that ball on an absolute, the only spot Amon-Ra could get it, and Amon-Ra made the play. I wish I could have had both of them on this page here. 109.3 passer rating. He right now is currently, and you know what? I'm not the only one saying it. Stephen A. Smith on First Take said it today. Jared Goff is currently the MVP in the NFL. I said it on the post-game show last night. My reasoning was, at this point, there's times where you can look at stats and you can't look at stats, and you're like, all right, when does that come into account? I think everyone can agree with me that last year, like Lamar won MVP last year. That wasn't the best season Lamar ever had. It was a weaker MVP kind of a race there. You had Brock Purdy in there not putting up the greatest numbers. It was more so just who's on the best team in football and who's controlling that team. The Detroit Lions are the best team in football right now, and Jared Goff is playing at a historic level. Maybe not passing yards, but when you look at completion percentage, quarterback rating, everything, it's not just he's doing it the best in the NFL now. He is breaking NFL records in NFL history. He is currently right now the MVP of the NFL, especially after last night's performance. Jared Goff, first Kool-Aid jug. Jared MVP Goff, baby.
Love it, Boom.
All right,
Love
Jeff Iafrate, give me the second player. Give me the second player. Let's see it.
Oh,
Kirby Joseph.
He might have the most Kool-Aid like jugs of the entire year. I mean,
Yeah.
he just might.
Got at least
Dude,
6
he keeps getting them, and it's because the man just keeps making plays. Guys, Kirby Joseph, I know he only had 4 tackles, but I said it before. I'm not looking at the biggest stats here. I'm looking at, hey, when push comes to shove, and in the moments are the brightest, who is coming to play and who is winning you football games. Kirby Joseph, what does he have now on the year, guys? 6 interceptions. Guess who wasn't?
Yep.
Who was the guy that everyone was talking about last night or going into this week on the Green Bay Packers secondary? Fellas?
Xavier McKinney, Boone. I'm one of them.
Who leads the NFL in interceptions?
Kirby Joseph and Xavier, they're tied for it.
Yep, tied.
Going into yesterday, who was it?
Oh, Xavier McKinney.
So good.
Everyone was talking about Xavier McKinney. Did any of you guys hear his name called last night?
Oh, I didn't hear.
Nothing on
Honestly,
that.
what did we say,
I don't
Boone?
remember even seeing the man. I don't even know if Xavier McKinney was suited up yesterday. Have no clue. That man, he could have been on the bench for all I know. I don't even know if he was playing. You know who was playing? Kirby Joseph was playing football yesterday. 4 tackles, a pick 6 on Jordan Love, and he dominated. He's played at Lambeau Field 2 times. And both times, he picked off Aaron Rodgers and he picked off Jordan Love. Kirby Joseph, he gets the second Kool-Aid jug of the week. Congrats, Kirby. This is like
Well
your fifth.
deserved. Congrats, Curb. Shout out, Curb.
All right, third. The third one, Jeff Iafrate.
Oh, this one, it's a great one.
Aaron Glenn. I don't know if you put it up yet. I was in a different time.
I wasn't sure if you're going to introduce him. Go ahead, Cook.
Glenn, guys, I went to bat for him today with you guys and some people were talking about guys. I don't think people are giving Aaron Glenn the credit that this man deserves. There are people who are, and you guys are too. We're
I don't want this to be like
we're having the conversations. Good, healthy conversations.
Yeah, you threw some shade at your boys about it. That was not true.
There was a good, great. Oh,
no, not him. Personnel.
all right, deal.
All
right,
It's
hey,
all
this is
for
Booner's
skill.
Kool-Aid jug. Hey,
Bro's writing narratives.
Yep, I know.
Balls.
all right, Aaron Glenn held the Packers to I almost said 6 points, essentially 9 points outside of the touchdown. 1 touchdown, garbage time touchdown. Again, garbage time touchdown with 3 minutes left of the game after a dumb penalty that shouldn't have even probably been called. So you have that, which I believe he did pull a meek after that. I did not realize that happened. Secondly, 5th in the NFL right now. This is all of the NFL in points per game allowed. And then third one, 1st in the NFL right now in turnover differential, guys. Everything we talk about winning football. How do you play winning football defensively, especially when your star players go down? What do? Take the ball, takeaways. It's takeaways. That is what this is about in defensively. If you want to win, did the Pistons win, by the way?
Oh, we're gonna get to it.
Okay. Okay. But to go win and win in the playoffs and win throughout the season, you have to get turnovers in the NFL. They are 1st in the NFL in turnover differential. This is something that Aaron Glenn has emphasized at the end of last year when they were going on that playoff run. That was one of the things he emphasized was turnovers. And if you guys remember, towards the second half of the year, things started to turn and they started getting turnovers and that defense looked a little bit different. And now they're starting to look like that throughout this whole season. Aaron Glenn, he deserves, this is his second one of the year. His second one, because he deserves it after that gritty defensive performance. Did you already take AG away?
No,
I wanted to give AG a cheers. I want to give AG a cheers.
We had a malfunction. He's back up. Keep cooking.
Let me give AG a cheers. Hey, cheers, AG. This one's for you. Your second of the year. Shout out. Only 1 touchdown allowed.
Yeah. Shout out AG.
All right. Now you guys know me. I don't
There's
just do
another
3.
one.
I don't just do 3. I save the best for last. The man who deserves the best one of the week. This man, I'm going to tell you what. We should have had a whole segment about him today. And we might do it tomorrow. This man deserves a whole segment. People are just starting to notice a certain defensive player on this Detroit Lions team. He might have taken the biggest jump. Jeff Iafrate, we're back on track with what we talked about in the offseason. The man has finally taken the jump, and it is on notice now. We have a new number 1 linebacker in Detroit, fellas. And this isn't at Alex Anzalone, but Jack Campbell. This is not being talked about enough. Jack Campbell right now is the best linebacker on the Detroit Lions. He is playing not just at a great level on the Lions. Be like, oh, he's playing good. He's playing. Guys, he currently right now is probably a top 10 linebacker in the NFL over the last few weeks. Last week, he had 11 total tackles versus the Tennessee Titans. He turns it around, and he has 13 total tackles at Lambeau Field in the rain and dominates. Now, if we're talking about, all right, what about his coverage grade? He's bad in coverage. He's this. Currently in the NFL, out of all linebackers, he is 4th. He is 4th on PFF in his coverage grade. 4th in the NFL. He might have started down here. Boom, 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 boom. He's up there. He's the 9th highest graded linebacker in the NFL per PFF right now as well. He is playing at a top 10 level as a linebacker. No one's talked about it the last few weeks. Jack Campbell has arrived on the scene. He is finally starting to turn in to that first round linebacker that we wanted and that we needed. He is starting to figure things out here. And now, hey, things are turning for Jack Campbell. He is now, if he plays like this the rest of the season, guys, he is the best linebacker on this football team. And Jeff, we had the conversation during the offseason, and you and I thought he was going to take the jump. Guess what he did over the last 2 or 3 weeks?
Taking the jump. Yeah.
He's not just taking it. That man took it. He took the jump. He is there now. He is there now. He leads the Detroit Lions in tackles by probably like 15 or so tackles, probably 10 to 15. And he's ranked in the top 10 in almost every linebacker category on PFF right now. And his coverage grade, the thing that it was the worst at, he has improved that, and he has gotten better. Top 5 in his coverage grade, guys. Jack Campbell, hey, welcome to the NFL, brother. Let's go. Cheers.
Yeah, well deserved. Well deserved.
Hey, it's crazy. I did not think there was a point in the season, fellas, that we were like, oh, Jack might not have taken the jump this year. He might not have done it. And he's done it. He's taken the jump, and he is absolutely dominating.
Yeah, there was a part of me where I was like, maybe we're a year early, No, he's taking the jump. So that's all credit to Jack Campbell. He's playing well this year. Good stuff, Boone. Let's and by the way, the Pistons, who let them get hot? Who let them get let them get hot?
Did they win?
No, did they win? They've won 3. They've won 3 of the last 4 games. Like
I took Lakers money line at half.
I'm ashamed. Like, this is where this has come to. You know what I mean? Like, the Pistons have won 3 of the last 4 games. You know who they have next coming up? They face Charlotte. Add another one. Okay, they're going to be 4-5. That's what's going to happen. All right, they face Charlotte, and I think that one is at that's on the road at Charlotte. And then they got after that. They got the Atlanta Hawks, who are 3-5. So the Atlanta Hawks, hey, Trae Young, very good. But this isn't like a world beater Atlanta Hawks team. So they might string off a couple more here. All right. So I'd say good for the Pistons. Jaden Ivey played an excellent game. K triple-double. And they're competing. And that's what the most important thing is. We talked about it, Boone. JB Bickerstaff has these guys playing their ass off. They got blown out by the Knicks. They won the next 2 straight. So they bounced back. And even with Cade having a bad shooting night, he still found ways to be involved, still found ways to affect the game. And Ivey played like a absolute man on a mission. Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, they were traffic cones out there trying to guard Jaden Ivey. So 3 of 4 for the Detroit Pistons. Cash it in. All right. I'm telling you.
Good for that.
Hey, only 32 more. 32 more.
I don't know about that. I respect him. I did say like the JB stuff. He's a good basketball coach. Like he knows what he needs to do to get guys going. So I'm in on the JB thing, man. If he can get these guys going, this is one of those things, guys. I said I didn't think they'll win 35 games. I would love to be wrong about that. Like I thought it would take a year for JB to be able to get this thing going. Jeff, I see you smiling over there.
You know why?
You're grinning.
You know
You're
why?
grinning over there.
You know what I like looking at? I like looking at that.
I mean, dude, we're 8 games in. What are we doing?
like looking at that.
Look
at that winning percentage.
Take a screenshot of the standings right now, and then we got to clip the reaction by Jeff.
9th seed. That's what they are right now. They're flirting with it. Hey, what did I say? I said they'd be flirting with it. And what are they doing right now? They're indeed flirting with it. All right, that is what we asked for.
Shooting their shot. We'll see if they get rejected or not.
Yeah, that's exactly. Remember we talked about it. That was the comparison. Like you're at a bar, you're flirting. Maybe you score, maybe you don't. All right, but
they've been out of a relationship for a long, long time. Like, and they haven't got laid in a minute. Like last season, like it's been an absolute cold streak. Not even a hug, not even a held hand. So now they're trying to go out on a date. And Jeff,
they're not getting blue balled this time.
You don't always get the number, Jeff. Sometimes you don't.
I'll tell you, they ain't getting blue balled, Klotzy. They're not getting blue balled.
They just might. They might have a special chair for him. I don't know.
He might have to go to Legends. He's not going to be happy. He might have to go to Legends.
Ghost on, though. I hope they make it. I hope they do make it, but got to see it first. Got to see it.
Oh, that's an old man yelling at the clouds. I got to see it.
Yeah. 3-5. It's 8 games, man.
Are you going to keep saying we're going to be 20 games in? It's 20 games in, bro.
No, once you get to a certain point, like
with the defense, bro. Don't even do this.
But once they get to a certain point, like the Pistons, it has nothing. No, it's completely different because the Pistons haven't done anything in 16 years. Like they've had the same thing. It's a new regime. I want to see a new regime. It's year 1 of JB Bickerstaff, Trajan Langdon. I want to see the culture that gets set.
You're seeing it.
I am. That's what I'm saying. It's all right. Hey. We're 8 games in the new regime. Awesome. I think what I've seen so far,
all right.
I see hope. Now, am I going to sit here and be like, whoa, here we go, boys. There we go. No, like, dude, we're 8 games into the first regime. We have seen how many regimes the last 16 years. I'm not going to get worked up. I want to see again, I've been very consistent on this. I want to see year 1. If year 1, they win 35 games, all right, I trust this regime. We're going to go win a championship. Like, well, I'm in. That's what you get out of me. The Booner path, if you go win 35 this year, the Booner path will be with the Pistons. I will tell you that.
No.
You're not. You can't gatekeep the Pistons. I've been a Pistons fan since I was a baby. You can't gatekeep. You can't tell people how they can cheer for their team.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
I don't tell you how to cheer for the Lions. You can if you have faith in them. We have debates about it, but
you can have the Booner path. I'm joking, but
I'm like, okay, I'm in on this regime.
Okay, I see a team they're 3-5. They're putting hope. They're putting hope out there. They're playing gritty ball. 3 or 4.
I said I see hope. I said that. I see hope.
I'm excited. I am. I want to go to another game. We got to go to another game soon.
If they win 35, I was wrong. I'll admit I was wrong. And then I'm like, all right, I want to see year 1. You can't hate me for that.
Hey, Tyler said so. You're telling me 35 wins is the bandwagon?
There's no bandwagon. If you've been a fan for a team your whole life, there is no bandwagon. With 35, again, I've been so consistent on this, Jeff. How many regimes have we had in the last 2 years?
You know what you sound like? You know what you sound like?
Pistons fan.
No, you know what you sound like? You know what you sound like? My dad, when the Lions, same old, I have to see it. We all were sitting there like, this is real. All right, this is different.
But again, like the Lions
but the last 50 years, it's been like that thing. But we had
But you have to think like with the Lions when they got Dan Campbell after that second year, I was like, okay, I saw it. I got to see it. They didn't get to the playoffs, but I saw I saw the culture. We have had a billion, gajillion, zillion regimes run in and out of Detroit with the Pistons.
Lions.
And they always disappoint. Exactly. Same with the Lions. And they always disappoint. All I'm saying, I'm not saying I'm going to, when they finally win after in the next 2 years, I'm going to be like, still have to see a champion. I'm not pulling that. I'm just saying, if they win 30 games this year, I'll sit back and be like, improvement. This is what I like. If they win 20, Jeff, if they win 27 games, I will take a step back and be like, I'm in on this. I'm all in.
Okay. All right. I'm excited.
I just say 35 because that's your number.
I mean, shout out Caleb. He was he jumped in that foxhole with me. He jumped in that foxhole with me. See, I used it, Boone. I used it. It took me a week, but I used it. Jumped in that foxhole.
He jumped in the hole with you.
Hey, whoa!
What?
Whoa! Whoa! All right, hey, we'll see. They play. When do they play the? When do they play? I will honestly, Boone. I would be ecstatic if the Booner path came to the Pistons. It means we're on the right track.
Yeah, so, there's a standard. You have to have a standard, and you have to have I'm
trying. I got 35
for my franchises that I cheer for. It's the same thing with the Tigers. So when the Tigers got good this year, it was bad that all the Tigers fans who were just for the last couple of years were off of them. No, you're a Tigers fan. Now they started looking good. Okay, here we go, boys. We finally have life in the organization. The standard is finally being met. The Pistons, Tom Gores bought the team. The man,
hey,
there was a standard in Detroit, and that man did not bring it with him. He did not hold it up.
I got to throw something else at you.
What?
What you think of that number 2 option, Ivy? 26 points.
You play well. All right. Can we clear this up? Clear it up. I never said Ivy cannot be the number 2 option. I want to make that very clear. But I said you need the number 2 option. Now, and Jeff, me and you were at the game, had the conversation, and I felt like it was a very clear conversation.
Yeah.
I said Ivy can turn into that. He has to do it though. We talked about the first 5 games. He will, or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is fine. We talked about the first 5 games, and I was like, that looks like he can be the number 2 option. If he does it, it's not that I don't think he has the talent to, but then again, I still do think you need that. If he ends up being your number 2, you still need to go out and get one more guy. You need another. Yeah. You need another mid-level all-star type guy.
This roster ain't good enough to go on a fucking run or
no. You still need that mid all-star guy, a second or third guy like that.
But Ron Holland though. He was full A.
Did he look good today? I didn't watch the game. I
had it open in the tab. I was checking it. Ron Holland, he was.
I love to hear that.
To be honest, he was struggling this year a little bit, so it was nice to see him go out there. But hey, appreciate you all. Hey, enough about the Pistons. See, we got a couple minutes at the end of the show about the Lions.
Hey,
deadline will be tomorrow. Hey, deadline will be tomorrow. Tune in. Huge show. We're gonna recap it all. Be there. Appreciate you guys. By the way, the Fuck the Packers t-shirt will be up in the store tomorrow. So you
8 a.m. Drop.
Yeah, it's going up early. 8 a.m.
8 a.m. drop.
Their hoodies, crew necks, t-shirts. Get all anything you like.
I'll put the site in the chat right now.
Arrowhead boys, those Chiefs losing with D-Hop.
Chiefs are losing. Oh, love
that.
Yeah,
it's 14-10 or something.
Love to.
It's gonna be a good football game.
Hey, all we need to hit this is 175 from Baker. That's all we need. Last thing I need. All right. See you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.
Love you guys. Peace.
See you.